That can't be right. A higher-up looked at worryless Nya and said with a frown, although the Fearless Alliance is guilty of monstrous crimes and formidable in their own right, and it wouldn't be strange if they did such a thing, is the Fearless Alliance really this capable? Forget about Emperor G, but the Fearless Alliance can't even defeat Heavenly Owl. Sometimes we're hidden in the dark. Worryless Nya swept her eyes over everyone and explained, the leader of Heavenly Owl is extremely good friends with President Fearless by phone. It'd be a different story if the two were familiar and Heavenly Owl's leader wasn't on guard against by phone at all. No one contradicted Worryless Nya's words this time. It was indeed very easy to harm an acquaintance, since you were meat on the cutting board regardless of how strong you were if you weren't vigilant. Everyone in this room was aware of the relationship between the Fearless Alliance and Heavenly Owl. It would be very simple for President Fearless to abduct the leader of Heavenly Owl. In truth, there were some Heavenly Owl higher-ups who were suspicious, but they didn't have any solid evidence, so it's difficult for them to act. Worryless Nya continued. It is as you say, but I'm afraid it isn't so easy to explain Emperor G's disappearance. Someone raised their doubts. Forget about Heavenly Owl, but who was G Chiron? Furthermore, he didn't have any interactions with the Fearless Alliance, so the Fearless Alliance couldn't possibly abduct Emperor G from his headquarters regardless of how formidable they were, right? This matter is a bit hard to explain. A soft sigh was released from Worryless Nya's mouth, and a helpless expression draped over her face. As everyone knows, G Chiron is my fiancé. However, some time ago, President Fearless butted into our relationship. Everyone looked at each other in surprise. G Chiron and the president of the Fearless Alliance. Not too long later, G Chiron disappeared. I'm certain that this was also the Fearless Alliance's doing. Worryless Nya swore vehemently. That's right. Aside from Emperor G, Baifeng seems to also have an ambiguous relationship with Lord Azura of Azura. It isn't just Lord Azura. There's also eldest young Master Shun. A smile surfaced in the fake Worryless Nya's eyes as the discussion ran rampant. She continued, moreover, not too long ago, Baifeng used a normal person's identity to worm her way into our Nya family and trick my mother into taking her as a foster daughter, and she's good friend with my elder brother as well. Hence, I suspect that Baifeng is actually a member of the Direct Line. They want to make a comeback and cause chaos in the independent state. The guests all shuddered at the mention of Direct Line. Back then, the Direct Line and the Collateral Branch fought ferociously, and the Direct Line swore they'd return stronger one day before being kicked out. Damn, you've watched too many dramas, right? Nameless Nya glanced at Worryless Nya. Eldest brother, you've been bewitched by the Fearless Alliance. The fake Worryless Nya's expression didn't change. Before she could continue, Tang Tang suddenly icily stated, don't slander my mommy. Everyone's expressions turned odd. This little young master of the Nya family actually called the president of the Fearless Alliance mommy. Tang Tang, it's me who's your mommy. The fake Worryless Nya frowned deeply at Tang Tang. My mommy shouldn't be someone like you, Tang Tang coldly retorted. Worryless Nya's expression instantly became troubled, and she looked at everyone. I believe everyone can see for yourself that our Nya family has also been affected by the Fearless Alliance. Even my own son recognizes the president of the Fearless Alliance, but treats me, his biological mother, so vilely. A feverish whisper blazed through the room. Many factions present had grievances with the Fearless Alliance to some extent, so Worryless Nya's words both alarmed and angered them. If what Worryless Nya was saying was correct, then the Fearless Alliance's existence was truly too frightening. Madame Nya glanced at Worryless Nya with a tinge of displeasure. Madame Nya held fondness for Yi Wan Wan, and Worryless Nya had never mentioned any of this to her. However, Worryless Nya would start managing the Nya family starting today and was the new head of the Nya family, so she naturally couldn't raise any doubts toward Worryless Nya in such a public setting. On behalf of our Nya family, as well as my fiancé, after I take over the Nya family, I will declare war on the Fearless Alliance, the fake Worryless Nye coldly announced. Ha ha! Miss Worryless is eradicating evil for the independent state. Whether the disappearances of Emperor G and those leaders were caused by the Fearless Alliance, the Fearless Alliance has run rampant and lawless in the independent state for too long. They murder and plunder. They are a cancerous tumor. If the Nye family declares war on the Fearless Alliance, I will offer my full support. We will also fully support you. Many factions instantly declared their position to Worryless Nye. To them, they merely wanted to develop friendly relations with the Nye family. If the Nye family was attacking the Fearless Alliance, then the Nye family would definitely be the main force. They just needed to offer some manpower and gild the lily, and they would make the Nye family remember their camaraderie. My mommy never did any of this, Tang Tang seriously said while staring at Worryless Nye. Tang Tang, you can't speak to your mom like this, Nye Ling Long admonished him. If I can't talk like this, how should I talk then? Tang Tang glanced at Nye Ling Long. Worryless Nye rebuked harshly. Tang Tang, you can speak to me however you want when we're at home, but what day is it today? Mommy has declared war on the Fearless Alliance already, yet you're still speaking on their behalf. So what? I'm merely telling the truth, Tang Tang countered. After I inherit the Nye family, you'll be the next heir of the Nye family. But you truly disappoint me too much. Worryless Nye shot forward and grabbed Tang Tang's right hand, dragging him toward the front. However, Tang Tang seemed unwilling and didn't move his legs. Little young Master Tang Tang, this is your true mom. How can you recognize the president of the Fearless Alliance as your mother? A middle-aged man said to Tang Tang. That's right. The Fearless Alliance's notoriety rings far and wide. You mustn't have any interactions with the Fearless Alliance, little young Master Tang Tang. This chapter is scrapped from Read Light Novel. Ord Tang Tang swept his eyes over everyone and expressionlessly said, the weak like to gather together and criticize the strong. Everyone was startled. Didn't this little young master of the Nye family talk too horribly? Slap! Suddenly, Worryless Nye lifted her right arm and forcefully slapped Tang Tang on the face. Tang Tang, how could you act so insolently today? Worryless Nye sternly berated him. Worryless, what are you doing? Madame Nye looked at the fake Worryless Nye. Tang Tang is still young, so it's normal for him to be unmindful. How could you hit him? Mom, it's exactly because Tang Ang is still young that I have to teach him. If he grows older, how could I teach him then? Back then, I left the independent state and was remiss in my duties as a mother. I'm back now, though, so I will be the one teaching my son, Worryless Nye argued. Madame Nye wanted to say something, but Patriarch Nye sent her a look, signaling her to refrain. Madame Nye was silent in thought for a moment and ended up biting her words. After all, the leader of the Nye family would be Worryless Nye from now on, so it wasn't appropriate to say anything more so publicly. What the heck are you doing? Nameless Nye demanded, incredibly displeased. You disappeared for so many years, but you have the gall to hit Tang Tang. Worryless Nye retorted frigidly. Brother, I'm disciplining my son. It's none of your business. Nameless Nye wanted to refute her, but couldn't find an appropriate excuse despite careful thought. Tang Tang, apologize. Worryless Nye ordered the child. Many of the people who were ridiculed by Tang Tang minutes earlier inwardly snickered. Thank goodness Worryless Nye wasn't a protective parent. This little young master of the Nye family was simply unruly and indeed deserved to be punished. Tang Tang icily stared at Worryless Nye. A cold glint flashed in Worryless Nye's eyes, and she raised her right arm, as though she was going to slap Tang Tang again. However, before Worryless Nye's hand could land, a snort was heard from far away. You haven't become the head of the Nye family yet, but you have such an awful temper already. If you truly became the head of the Nye family, how outrageously would you act then? Everyone turned to the front of the room, their expressions shifting when they saw the newcomer. The Fearless Alliance? Be by phone. With Yuan Wan at the front, several elders, a dozen or so higher-ups, and more than 100 elite members of the Fearless Alliance had arrived. Worryless Nye's expression turned a little strange when she saw Yuan. That little bitch didn't die. Could it be the Fearless Alliance found a prison that quickly and rescued her? An icy smile spread across Worryless Nye's face. It was fine that she didn't die. President Fearless, today is a joyous day at the Nye family. Why did you come here? A higher-up from a faction questioned coldly. None of your fucking business. Shut up. Big Dipper irritatedly pointed at the speaker. Mommy, joy surfaced in Tong Tong's eyes when he saw Yuan, and he went to walk toward her. However, Worryless Nye was still clutching Tang Tang and kept it by her side. President Bai, if I remember right, our Nye family didn't invite you, no? The fake Worryless Nye mocked. Yuan didn't answer and walked toward Tang Tang instead before asking, This woman hit you just now? Tang Tang lightly nodded. How did she hit you? Yuan's face was frosty. A slap, Tang Tang replied. After looking at Tong Tong's slightly swollen left cheek, Yuan instantly straightened up and lifted her right arm before Worryless Nye could react. In the blink of an eye, everyone watched as a slap mercilessly landed on Worryless Nye's face. The loud slap was akin to a clap of thunder. When everyone regained their wits, they incredulously stared at Worryless Nye and the fresh handprint on her face. Damn! Nameless Nye stared at Yuan dumbfounded. Captain, this isn't right. Didn't Boss Famous say earlier that she'd make Madam and Sir bitterly disappointed in Worryless Nye? Why did she come here to confront him outright? Taoist devotee asked with surprise, looking at Nameless Nye. You're asking me, but how should I know? Nameless Nye reflexively replied. Madam Nye especially never would have expected Yuan to do such a thing today. You hit me? Worryless Nye coldly glared at Yuan after she shook off her daze. Slap. Yuan backhanded her again, mercilessly. Hitting you isn't the objective, Yuan icily replied. It's merely a side stop on your path toward death. You hit my son, so you deserve to die. President Bai, where do you think you are? Nye Linglong demanded. Several dozens of martial artists working with Nye Linglong quickly rushed toward the room. Let me see who dare. Third elder yelled. Sis Foam, let's not act recklessly. This is the Nye residence. After all, Big Dipper quietly urged Yuan. Only 100 or so people from the Fearless Alliance were there. If the Nye family was truly enraged, they might not be able to flee. I'll shoulder the sky if it collapses, Yuan replied. Doesn't that just mean you're going to smash a hole in the sky, Sis Foam? Big Dipper murmured. President Bai, you're intent on antagonizing our Nye family. Patriarch Nye stood up, his gaze settling on Yuan. Yuan shook her head at Patriarch Nye. It isn't that I want to antagonize the Nye family. It's the direct opposite, in fact. I merely don't want the Nye family to be deceived and be clouded by some people. Patriarch Nye snorted. President Bai, you came here today and arrogantly provoked the Nye family in such a manner and said such words. It's truly rather incomprehensible. It's fine that it's incomprehensible right now, Yuan responded. Shit. Nameless Nye didn't wait for Patriarch Nye to say anything else and quickly darted toward Yuan. Say, sister, what the heck are you doing? This doesn't match our plan at all. If you're crashing this ceremony like this, I won't be able to save you later. Yuan shot him a look. That's all you've got? Your nephew was hit, yet you stand by and do nothing? Nameless Nye was startled. The one who hit him was his actual mom. So what could I have done? I know you have a good relationship with Tang Tang, but isn't this too impulsive? Actual mom your ass. I'm Tong Tong's actual mom. Nameless Nye was stupefied. What do you mean? Everyone turned to Yuan. She was little young Master Nye's real mom? Utter nonsense. Patriarch Nye's face brimmed with displeasure. Say, sister, what's wrong with you? What actual mom? Explain clearly. Don't tell me Tang Tang isn't a member of the Nye family and is actually your son? Nameless Nye urgently pressed. Yuan. Everyone, you've seen it for yourself, right? This is how the Fearless Alliance acts. Worryless Nye interjected. Are you kidding me? You're just an imposter. Do you seriously think you're Worryless Nye? Yuan questioned. I'm an imposter? Worryless Nya sneered. President Bai, although I don't know what madness has overtaken you, don't even think about leaving the Nya residence alive today. Wan, is there someone deliberately instructing you to do this? Madam Nya asked her with a frown as she stood up. Patriarch, madam. I can attest that she's the genuine Miss Worryless. As for this one, she is indeed an imposter. Feng Shuani walked out of the crowd, a smile on his face. Shuani? Nameless Nya turned to Feng Shuani. What in the world is going on? Hurry and explain. Captain, no need to hurry. Allow me to slowly explain this whole story, Feng Shuani replied. Slow your ass. Make the long story short. Nameless Nya shouted urgently. Why do you have to testify for someone else? Don't tell me. You've been bribed by the Fearless Alliance? Worryless Nya asked harshly, looking at Feng Shuani. Whether I was bribed or not, facts speak louder than words. The truth can only come to light if there's proof. Am I right? Feng Shuani said in good spirits. Tang, I'm your true mommy. Wan softly asked him, do you trust mommy? Tang looked at her and didn't hesitate at all before giving a firm nod and shrugging off Worryless Nya's hold. He sprinted toward Wan. Mommy, Tang called, looking up at Wan. Good child. Tang, this imposter pretended to be mommy and bullied you, so mommy will definitely get justice for you. If mommy can't do it, then I'll have your daddy come here to get justice for you. Wan immediately knelt down and kissed Tang on the cheek. Mommy, daddy? Surprise flashed in Tang's eyes. Damn, I'm not dreaming, right? When the world happened, Boss Famous is saying she's Miss Worryless? Taoist devotee was stupefied. Not just that, but even Feng Shuani attested to Boss Famous' identity. I might doubt other people, but there's no reason for me to doubt Feng Shuani's words. Right? Brick-moving foreigner wore an identical expression to Taoist devotee. What proof do you have? Nya Long aloofly asked. I am proof. Spray of Flowers stepped out of the crowd. Nya Long narrowed her eyes at him. Imposter. I've killed all of those confidants you left at the prison. You didn't expect it, right? You freaking a bastard imposter like you has the guts to trick me? Spray of Flowers loudly cursed while pointing at Worryless Nya. What a joke. I have no idea what you're saying. Oh, I get it. You must have been bribed by the Fearless Alliance. But that's fine. Since you're saying I'm an imposter, then show us your evidence. The fake Worryless Nya retorted frigidly. No need for the rush. Feng Shuani turned to brick-moving foreigner and instructed, Little sweetie, go and turn on the projector. Brick-moving foreigner nodded, and the projector started several minutes later. Feng Shuani quickly went up and inserted an SD card into the projector. A second later, a video started playing on the projector screen. Inside a prison, Worryless Nya looked at Wan and snorted. So, you know everything, but so what? Indeed, I impersonated your identity, but those two old fart from the Nya family are blind and muddle-headed and are set on the fact that I'm Worryless Nya. There's nothing I can do. From now on, the Nya family will be mine, your son will be mine, everything of yours will be mine. And you have to be tortured to death here today. As the guests of the ceremony watched this video, they all became flabbergasted. Even the members of the Fearless Alliance were utterly stupefied. What was this? Their president Fearless was actually a daughter of the Nya family? Madam Nya and Patriarch Nya incredulously stared at the projector screen. Mommy, you're my mommy. Tang was emotional as he looked at Wan and fiercely hugged Wan's legs, unwilling to let go. Anwen looked down at Tang and said indulgently, Aside from me, who else could be my darling Tang's mommy, right? And Tang resolutely nodded. Everything mommy said was right. Damn, am I dreaming? Nameless Nya looked at the projector screen, then turned to examine Wan. I can't accept this. You're actually my real younger sister. This world is too insane. Nya Long ferociously glared at Worryless Nya. This idiot actually abducted Wan without asking her and even got recorded by Wan. What was more infuriating was that this idiot didn't mention this matter to her at all. If Nye Linglong knew, how would things have played out like this? You're actually a fake. Madame Nye's icy gaze landed on worryless Nye. A tinge of panic finally surfaced on worryless Nye's face. Impossible. The prison has metal detector equipment inside. There's no way you could have possessed recording and surveillance devices. Worryless Nye turned to Yi Wanwan. Indeed, but it wasn't me who recorded this. Yi Wanwan snorted. It was me. Spray of Flowers looked at worryless Nye and nonchalantly said, I turned off the devices when I entered the prison, so these devices naturally went undetected. After I left the detectable area, I turned them back on. What did you think happened, you idiot? Yi Wanwan glanced at Spray of Flowers. Other people calling worryless Nye an idiot was excusable. Spray of Flowers, though. What right did he have to call someone an idiot? It wasn't that worryless Nye was stupid. She was merely too blindly arrogant, and Feng Shuani was too clever. Anti-surveillance and recording devices were installed in the prison, so worryless Nye felt very emboldened and secured. What she never imagined was Spray of Flowers defecting. This was her biggest and most fatal failure. Dad, Mom, the panicked, worryless Nye immediately turned to Madame Nye and Patriarch Nye. You imposter! You've deceived us for so long, yet you still have the nerve to call me your father? Patriarch, Nye shouted coldly. You freaking dare to hit my nephew. I can forgive you for that, but you used so much money from our Nye family during this time. You're dead. Nameless Nye yelled and promptly punched worryless Nye in the face. A loud bang resounded, and worryless Nye flew back horizontally like a snipped kite before heavily crashing onto the floor. After worryless Nye landed, her body spasmed for a moment before losing all movement. She didn't die, right? Yi Wanwan frowned, reflexively covering Tong Tong's eyes. She soon walked toward the imposter and inspected her, only to discover that freaking nameless Nye seriously killed her with a punch. She stopped breathing? From that alone? How could someone like that possibly be my sister worryless? Blah. Nameless Nye said. Yi Wanwan, this dim-wit. Nye Linglong couldn't help but smile. This nameless Nye was truly stupid, but he did help her. If this imposter didn't die, Nye Linglong was afraid her own identity would also be uncovered. Now, though, dead men told no tales. Everyone involuntarily gasped when the imposter was killed by nameless Nye. This was such a plot twist. Damn, Sisfong, you're a member of the Nye family? You're actually worryless Nye? My brain wasn't prepared for this. Wait, no, my brain is about to explode. Big Dipper stared at Yi Wanwan, stunned. The subordinates that Yi Wanwan brought from the Fearless Alliance were all dumbstruck. Their president was actually the princess of the Nye family, the leader of the 4 great clans. Wasn't this leap in identities a little too great? No one expected the Nye family succession ceremony today to devolve into this. That worryless Nye was actually an imposter. Everyone's eyes landed on Yi Wanwan. No way, right? The president of the Fearless Alliance is actually worryless Nye? How's that possible? Indeed. The Fearless Alliance's notorious reputation has spread far and wide in the independent state for so many years. So how can President Fearless by Fong be Miss Worryless from the Nye family? A higher-up from another faction turned to Madame Nye and Patriarch and cupped his fists as he said, Patriarch, Madame Nye, could this be a deception? Madame Nye glanced at the speaker and aloofly replied, We'll naturally determine whether or not this is deception ourselves. None of your input is necessary. Fine, since Madame Nye said that he'd be acting out of line if he continued vocalizing his doubts. It wasn't a joking matter to offend both the Nye family and the Fearless Alliance at the same time. First Elder pensively studied Yi Wanwan. He finally understood why the president kept making him conduct DNA tests earlier. Those DNA samples probably came from the Nye family. Damn, Sisfong, you're actually worryless Nye. The second miss of the Nye family, the demon instructor from Scarlet Flames Academy. Big Dipper stared at Yi Wanwan in shock. This world was too crazy, right? You my real sister? Nameless Nya was dazedly looking at Yuan. My foster sister became my real sister? Yuan. Mommy. Tang intently stared at Yuan, his warm hand unwilling to loosen its grasp on Yuan. Yuan quickly picked up Tang into her arms. Patriarch, Madam, how about we cancel today's succession ceremony for now and discuss this at home? Feng Shuani suggested quietly. Patriarch Nya and Madam Nya were a bit lost in their stares of Yuan. It wasn't until Feng Shuani repeated himself that they regained their composure and announced the cancellation of the succession ceremony today. After everyone left, Madam Nya's first reaction was to look at Nye Linglong. Before Madam Nya could speak, Nye Linglong took the initiative and guiltily said, I didn't expect. I was also deceived by that imposter. Mom, Sister Worryless, it's all my fault. Yuan apathetically glanced at Nye Linglong. What decent acting. I was almost fooled by that guilty and grievous expression myself. However, now wasn't the time to target Nye Linglong. They also didn't have any proof. Nye Linglong might have found an imposter, but her single line, I was also deceived, shut everyone's mouths. No wonder this woman could conceal herself inside the Nye family for so long, as she expected. Although Madam Nya and Patriarch Nya didn't look too happy, they didn't say anything more. Currently, their attention was wholly focused on Yuan. Child, you really are worryless. Madam Nya was trembling lightly as she clutched Yuan's hand. Feng Shuani stepped forward at this moment and started to explain, Madam, Patriarch, I apologize deeply for not informing you of the truth in advance. By that time, the fake miss had obtained your trust with Nye Linglong's help already, and the Nye family obviously had an insider, or else her DNA test wouldn't have come back positive. Hence, in order to divulge the truth to Madam and Sir, Miss Worryless and I designed this plan and made her reveal her plan herself and publicize the recording to expose that imposter's true face. Feng Shuani continued. When Patriarch Nya heard this, his expression turned grim. Who could have pulled off this trick under the Nya family's noses? Nye Linglong's eyes turned in thought. Dad, Mom, it's my fault for not being cautious enough and allowed someone to exploit our loophole. I'll definitely thoroughly look into this matter. I'll investigate this matter myself, Patriarch Nya said. Right now, he didn't trust anyone, so he had to investigate it himself. Shuani, how did you find Worryless? Madam Nya asked. Madam, I found Miss Worryless back in China. At that time, she had drifted to China's imperial city and seemed to have lost her memories, so I never acknowledged her. I had to investigate for a long time before I could confirm Miss Worryless' identity. Spray of Flowers Guilty said, Back then, I wholeheartedly thought the woman at home was the real Miss Worryless, so I told that imposter how Feng Shuani seemed to have found Miss Worryless. That imposter deceived me and said the real Miss Worryless was an imposter from the direct line and sent people to assassinate Miss Worryless many times. Spray of Flowers then proceeded to spill everything else. Madam Nya and Patriarch Nya were shaken to the core by the tale, and Madam Nya grasped Yuan's hand, her eyes red and her expression brimming with heartache. No wonder she felt particularly intimate to Yuan the first time they met and wanted to get close to her. Madam Nya never imagined she would have mistakenly led a ravenous wolf inside her home and nearly harmed her real daughter. Madam Nya embraced Yuan with a sob. Worryless, I've done you wrong. I've caused you to suffer. Yuan was a bit unaccustomed to Madam Nya's proximity. You don't need to blame yourself. Those people were too cunning. Nye Linglong watched this family tearfully reuniting while she stood on the side by herself, as though she was an outsider. A chilliness flickered through her originally calm and placid gaze, and her fingernails dug into her palms. I knew it. I knew that as soon as the real Worryless Nya returned, this Nya family probably wouldn't have a spot for me anymore. The position of the Nya family's second miss, and even the position of the Nya family's head, was almost hers. But then, this bitch actually returned at the last minute. Feng Shuani, the person sent by the Ling family. She actually forgot about this person. Child, How have you been these past years? Just what happened? Why did you lose your memories? No wonder you didn't come home for so many years. Madame Nia launched question after question. Yi Wanwan concealed the fact that Si Yihan masked her memory. I don't know either. Perhaps I hit my head in an accident. It's only recently that I started recovering a fraction of my memories, but there are still many things I don't remember. Madame Nia glared at nameless Nia and said, that unreliable brother of yours. I don't know whether I should say he's dumb or he's lucky. He casually found someone to impersonate Tong Tong's mom and actually found you. Patriarch Nia snorted. He didn't realize the long-missing sister he had been searching for so many years was by his side. Does his brain look fine to you? Yi Wanwan. An official roast is the deadliest. Nameless Nia grumbled. What right do you have to talk about me, Dad? Didn't you also fail to recognize her? You. Patriarch Nia was nearly infuriated to death. Nameless Nia quickly dodged before he was hit. Madame Nia and Patriarch Nia were overwhelmed with guilt. They couldn't recognize their real daughter and nearly caused her to be harmed by an impostor. They truly didn't deserve to be parents, allowing her to undergo so much suffering. Sister Worryless, thank goodness you're back. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to remedy my wrongs even if I died. Nia Linglong kept apologizing, but her words suddenly took a sharp turn. However, I didn't expect you to be the president of the Fearless Alliance, Sister Worryless. No wonder we couldn't find you no matter what. Yuanwan coolly glanced at Nia Linglong. This woman's words might appear fine, but she was obviously using underhanded tactics by purposefully bringing up her identity as the president of the Fearless Alliance. Nia Linglong wanted to drive a wedge between her and her parents. Dad, Mom, will me being the president of the Fearless Alliance affect the Nia family? Yuanwan asked hesitantly. Patriarch Nia promptly responded. What effect could it have? The daughter of me, Nia Huaili, can do whatever she wants. Who would dare to criticize you? Yi Wanwan. Her dad uttered Nia Huaili rather smoothly. If it weren't for the fact that Feng Shuani informed her that his father had married into the Nia family and changed his surname from Ling to Nia, she wouldn't be able to tell. However, from this, it could be seen that father truly loved mother very much. Madame Nia also agreed. Dad and Mom already told you that you'd be fine to do whatever you wanted. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want, whoever you like. It's all good as long as you're happy. You don't need to worry about the world's judgments. Now that you're back, Dad and Mom are here regardless of what happens. Yuanwan, based on how strictly they treated nameless Nian normally, she thought she'd get scolded, but when Nia Linglong saw that her parents didn't care at all, her lips were a little stiff, and she took a moment to regain her faint smile. Dad and Mom are right. Nameless Nia was flabbergasted. Dad, Mom, that's not what you said to me. Isn't this preferential treatment too much? Honestly, tell me. I'm actually adopted, right? Damn punk, do you want to die? What followed was Madame Nia and Patriarch Nia drowning Yi Wanwan in pampering and inquiries about her well-being. Yi Wanwan only reported the good and avoided the bad, briefly telling them about her life in China these past years. At that moment, baby Tang Nang looked at Grandma to the left of Mommy and Grandpa to the right of Mommy and Uncle to the front of Mommy. He finally couldn't endure it anymore and called out, Mommy, can't they return Mommy to me? Only then did Yi Wanwan realize she forgot about her darling Tang Dang. She quickly picked up the little fella and said, What a good baby. Come here and let Mommy hug you. Baby Tang Dang grievously shoved nameless Nia aside and sprang into his mom's arms. Madame Nia's face was full of loving kindness and comfort as she looked at her daughter and grandson. No wonder Tang Dang likes you so much and feels so close to you. You're related by blood. After all, Patriarch Nia sighed. It's a pity the Chiron went missing. Otherwise, your family of 3 could reunite. When Yuan Wan, who is happily hugging Tang Tang, heard that, she was startled. Patriarch Nia hastily comforted her. Worryless, don't worry. I'll definitely find Chiron and absolutely won't allow Tang Tang to go without a father. PFT. Cough, cough, cough. Yuan was nearly choked by her own spit. No, Dad, Mom, you've misunderstood. Patriarch Nya and Madame Nya looked at each other, baffled. Misunderstood? What do you mean? Yuan patted Tongtong's head and exasperatedly asked, Dad, Mom, who told you Tongtong's father is Emperor Ji? Madame Nya retorted, It's not. Yuan cleared her throat. It really isn't. Madame Nya and Patriarch Nya were stunned. They both knew how much their daughter liked Ji Shiran back then. Moreover, Ji Shiran had always treated Tang Nang very kindly, and they shared a close relationship. Hence, Ji Shiran never said anything, but they tacitly agreed that Tang Nang had to be the son of their daughter and Ji Shiran. Who would have expected that to be false? Damn, Tongtong's dad isn't Ji Shiran? Nameless Nya was also astonished. Then who's Tongtong's father? Yuan wondered how her parents and Nameless Nya would react if she told them it was Lord Azura. Forget it, I should give him a breather. Yuan glanced at darling Tongtong's nearly identical features to a certain someone before saying, Either way, it's not Ji Shiran. Don't misunderstand. When there's time, I'll bring Tongtong's dad here to meet you. Madame Nya deliberated her next words for a moment. She grasped Yuan's hand and heavily said, Worryless. Although you can't be with Shiran, you absolutely can't abandon yourself and get with a random man. All right? That's right. Don't tell me the daughter of me, Nya Huaili, would need to fret about finding a good man. That punk from the G family is blind for not liking you. Yuan didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Dad, Mom, don't worry. How could I have possibly found a random man? You just need to look at Tongtong's perfect genetics to know his dad is very outstanding and especially handsome. More importantly, we're mutually and genuinely in love. So don't worry. Her parents finally relaxed after hearing that. However, Yuan's heart suddenly raised. Shit, now that everyone knows I'm worryless Nya, Si Yihan must also know. He knows I'm worryless Nya. He knows worryless Nya has an engagement with Ji Shiran. He knows I have a son, an out-of-wedlock son with Ji Shiran. At the same time, at a hot springs resort in the Independent State, Si Yihan, Jiang Lihan, Xie Qianchuan were discussing business while sitting at a stone table under a tree when the sound of urgent footsteps was heard. Lin Ke dashed towards Si Yihan, gasping for air. Ninth brother. Something happened. Something serious happened. Si Yihan frowned lightly. What is it? Jiang Lihan and Xie Qianchuan also reflexively turned to Lin Quebec. Jiang Lihan disdainfully looked at Lin Ke's face, which turned average looking after his disguise, and asked, Tis Tsk say, second Lin, when can you fix your ruckus-causing personality? Something heaven collapsing really happened this time, all right? Lin Ke ignored Jiang Lihan and caught his breath before swiftly continuing. Ninth brother. Everyone in the Independent State is saying that the president of the Fearless Alliance, by phone, is the true second miss of the Nya family, worryless Nya. That girl crashed the Nya family's family head succession ceremony today and supposedly broadcast a telling video that proved the worryless Nya in the Nya family right now is a fake, and she's the real one. The fake one was killed on the spot by nameless Nya. After Lin Ke dumped everything in one breath, the surroundings sank into a deadly silence. Yuan, the president of the Fearless Alliance, by phone, was the second miss of the Nya family. Worryless Nya? This news was considered explosive, no matter the audience. Jiang Lihan was the first to react. He jumped up and exclaimed, it really is a serious matter this time. I.e., your wife is actually the princess of the Nya family? Xie Qianchuan mulled over it for a second before he hesitantly asked, Don't they say? Worryless Nya has an engagement with Ji Shiran? Jiang Lihan immediately replied, That's not all. She not only has a fiancé, but also has a son who's 4 or 5 years old now, and has been raised in the Nya family this whole time. Xie Qianchuan added, Rumors say this child is the son of worryless Nya and Ji Shiran. Jiang Lihan clicked his tongue in glee, leaned close to Si Yihan, and clapped the man's shoulder as he said, So, allow me to summarize. I.e., you got cheated on? Si Yihan, at the Nya residence. Madame Nya and patriarch Nya kept engaging Yi Wanwan in conversation while they had the kitchen prepare a table full of dishes. At the table, the young steward who once forcefully restricted Tong Tong's freedom and blocked Yi Wanwan from bringing Tang Dang out of the Nya residence had completely altered his attitude toward Yi Wanwan. This young male steward was obviously working for Nya Linglong. "Sir, madam, it's truly a joyous affair that Miss Worryless was able to safely return and reunite with you." The young steward cheerfully lauded, completely avoiding the mention of the fake Worryless Nya he vehemently protected before. Although the young steward had some misgivings about Yi Wanwan suddenly recovering her identity, he felt secured by the fact that he had Nya Linglong's backing, so he wasn't worried about Yi Wanwan seeking retribution from him. "It's all my fault for being deceived by that imposter and being so blinded that I wasn't able to recognize you. However, your identity was truly a bit unusual at that time, so I really couldn't connect you to Miss Worryless," the steward continued guiltily. Madam Nya and Patriarch Nya were in a good mood right now and kept offering food to Yi Wanwan. Patriarch Nya was the one who responded, "Enough, it's a happy day today. Don't bring up other matters again." He, the father, was the biggest failure for mistaking his daughter. "Yes, yes, yes," the young steward enthusiastically agreed. "Madam, I will go and prepare a new room for Miss Worryless now." Tang Tang frowned when he heard this and immediately refused. "No need. Mommy can sleep with me." The young steward countered with a smile. "Little young master, that is improper. It's more appropriate for me to prepare a new room for Miss Worryless." Tong Tong's face turned colder. Yi Wanwan watched how the steward acted like he was the lord of the household, and mockery flickered across her face. She patted darling Tong Tong's head before saying, "Since even the little young master can't command you, then let's replace you with one he can command." The young steward was startled, and his expression stiffened. "Miss Worryless, what do you mean? What? Am I not clear enough? I want to change stewards. Do you understand me now?" Malice flitted through the young steward's eyes, and he instantly turned to Nya Linglong, who was sitting across the table. "Miss Linglong, I'm unsure what I did wrong. Why does Miss Worryless want to fire me?" Nya Linglong was secretly despising Yi Wanwan's unreasonable demeanor. As expected of someone who grew up wildly outside and was devoid of any manners. Even though she had returned, she probably wouldn't win Madame Nya and Patriarch Nya's favor. Nya Linglong magnanimously and amiably spoke up. "Sister Worryless, the steward is just acting on the well-being of Tang Tang and didn't do anything wrong. If he's made you unhappy, you can just mildly punish him. You truly don't need to be so angry." Yi Wanwan mockingly glanced at Nya Linglong, who said, "I'm firing him because of this." Then Yi Wanwan smiled. "Because I don't like him?" Nya Linglong started. A tinge of anger appeared on her face, but she quickly concealed the emotion and turned to Madame Nya and Patriarch Nya with a troubled expression. "Dad, Mom, Steward Lee has performed his duties properly and never did anything wrong since he came to the Nye family. If we fire him just like this, I'm afraid it'd be inappropriate." As Patriarch Nye served some food to Yi Wanwan's bowl, he uncaringly said, "Since Worryless doesn't like him, we'll replace him. It's nothing serious." Madame Nye promptly said to the young steward, "Go to the finance department and settle your salary." The young steward couldn't believe how easily he was fired. He was fired simply because of an "I don't like him" from Yi Wanwan. He turned to look at Nya Linglong pleadingly. Nya Linglong's pupils contracted. Previously, although Madame Nya and Patriarch Nya treated the impostor indulgently, they still had a limit. Who would have expected them to lose all principles when faced with the real Worryless Nya? They obeyed and agreed with her every word basically. Anything she said would probably be useless under these circumstances and might even provoke their ire. This interlude quickly concluded. Nya Linglong was unable to plead for leniency, and the young steward was fired directly. Madame Nya turned to Yi Wanwan. "Ah, Worryless, don't be angry. Since you don't like this one, I'll go call a group of people here another day, and you can choose one you like." Yi Wanwan hugged Madame Nya by her arm and happily said, "Thank you, Mom." Although Yi Wanwan's actions contained some acting, Her intimacy toward her real mother was earnest. She was able to win over even Si Yihan. So how could she possibly not win her real parents' favor? Today was Yi Wanwan's first time calling her mom, and in such an intimate manner too. Madame Ye was wild with joy and a grin spread across her face. Silly child, why do you need to thank your mom? If there's anything else you want in the future, just tell me, okay? Yes, yes, I got it, Mom. The stern-faced patriarch Nye also couldn't hold back and hastily said, if you're bullied on the outside, come back here and tell Dad. All right? Dad will stand up for you. On the side, nameless Nye, who was neglected and only had a plate of plain vegetables in front of him, interjected, I'm full. Bye-bye. Can I keep eating this meal? Can I? Patriarch Nye promptly rebuked, sit back down. Your sister is finally back. So where do you want to go party? Huh? Nameless Nye, what you are doing is domestic abuse. Outright abuse. Due to her real parents' over-enthusiasm, Yuanwan didn't get any free time, and she had to spend time with baby Tang Tang at night. Hence, it wasn't until the next morning that Yi Wanwan rushed to Azura's headquarters. However, she didn't see Si Yihan and ran into Jiang Yin, who bristled every time he saw her. Si Yihan probably knew she and Jiang Yin didn't get along, so he kept Lin Ke by his side most of the time lately, while Jiang Yin stayed back guarding the headquarters. As soon as Jiang Yin saw her, he entered battle mode, prepared to defend his master's chastity. Vixen, why are you here again? He seriously never changes his lines. Help me tell your lord that I have something to discuss with him. Yi Wanwan originally wanted to wait until nightfall to sneak inside, but she truly couldn't wait. She had to explain this matter face to face. Our lord isn't here. Moreover, you've had a fiancé since long ago, and even have a child, but you still keep harassing my lord. You seriously don't have any shame. I'm telling you, give up this delusion already. Jiang Yin was outraged, as though the one cheated on was him. Yi Wanwan's face darkened. How wretched. Everyone really knew already. Yi Wanwan smiled faintly. It's none of your business. Don't you know your lord likes me when I'm this shameless? Otherwise, how do you think your lord cured his goo poison? Nonsense. It was clearly because I found the antidote for my lord. Vixen, you simply. In contrast to Luing, Jiang Yan's vocabulary was pitifully minute, and he had no idea how to insult someone. He uttered for half a day without any follow-up, so he lost it and directly attacked Yuanwan. Vixen, I'm definitely going to kill you today. Yuanwan dodged and taunted him with raised brows. Yeah, you're so courageous, lad. Do you know who you're attacking? You're attacking your lord's precious wife. Prepare to die, Vixen. Jiang Yin couldn't breathe because of his rage, and even his movements were disrupted. Yuanwan was about to continue her squabbling with Jiang Yin when her phone started ringing. It was a call from 7-Star. Sis phone, the headmaster has returned, 7-Star said. Yuanwan's expression turned joyous. What? That's great. Help me prepare my ring and my little precious. I'll head to Scarlet Flames Academy immediately. Little precious? 7-Star asked. The school monument. The school monument. Yes. Yuanwan lost her desire to play with Jiang Yin the second she heard about the headmaster's return. Forget it, forget it. Since your lord isn't home, I won't keep playing with you. Bye-bye. You'll definitely have to obediently call me Madame Azura when I'm back. You! Jiang Yin yelled. Yuanwan had run off already. She hastily rushed back to the Fearless Alliance and donned some makeup before bolting towards Scarlet Flames Academy with Emperor Ji's ring and Scarlet Flames School Monument in tow. She had thought about it. It would probably still be very difficult to explain herself if she sought out Si Yihan now. The best method right now was to recover her memory and prove that she was sincere toward him from the start, then bring the product of their love, Tang Tang, with her to see him and explain everything. Great. Perfect. Yi Wanwan returned to Scarlet Flames Academy in the shortest amount of time possible and submitted both missions. When Yi Wanwan handed over Emperor Ji's personal ring, the observing students were astonished. When she pulled off the red cloth and revealed the Scarlet Flames Academy monument she brought back, everyone was stupefied. This time, no one made any sarcastic remarks. What did it mean for her to snatch back Scarlet Flames Academy's monument from the hands of Jiang Lian? This was something that no one in the independent state was able to do. Moreover, this school monument represented the entire Scarlet Flames Academy. What Yuan obtained through this mission wasn't solely honor points, but actual honor. Damn! Wow. Jiang Lian's kept a tight watch over this school monument in order to humiliate the headmaster. So how in the world did she do it? I really bow to her this time. This woman is seriously the devil. Yuan ignored the discussion and bolted off to find the old headmaster with her fresh out of the oven honor points. Bang! Yuan slammed the door open. The headmaster seemed to have known she would come and find him, so he was waiting in his office. Yuan plopped down on the chair in front of the desk as she said, "Sir Headmaster, I've gathered enough honor points." Nice. The rising generation is truly to be reckoned with. The headmaster seemed to be in a good mood, and his face glowed with happiness. Yuan buoyantly responded, "Look, Sir Headmaster, this time I've stolen back Scarlet Flames Academy's school monument. This is such a great meritorious service. Shouldn't you gift me with a free hypnosis session? You little fox, you're rather cheeky. Agreeing to hypnotize you is already an exception to the rule. Every session costs 50,000 honor points, not a single point less. As for your merit, consider it as a payback of my generosity," the headmaster replied while combing his beard. Yuan ground her teeth, rendered speechless. This old fox was actually more shameless than her. He knew she was in a hurry to recover her memories, so he was basically extorting her to finish more missions, right? "If you're ready, let's begin." Yuan's focus was drawn away, and she impatiently laid down on the armchair. "Let's begin." Like before, the headmaster drew her into a hypnotized state. Yuan closed her eyes, and the world gradually dimmed to black. She felt like she was traversing through the endless corridor of time before her sight eventually broadened and brightened, light rushing into her vision. In the scene, a group of people were dining together, and Yuan saw many familiar faces, all people from the Fearless Alliance. "President, look, this is my grandson, Fu Mingxi. That punk is bad at everything, but his looks are decent and his personality is docile and obedient. So I think you take a liking to him. President." Based on the speaker's appearance, he looked to be second elder. "Your grandson? That's right. What do you think, President?" Yuan's expression turned absent-minded when she accepted the photo and took a look. Fu Mingxi's looks were indeed first class, but she'd journeyed north and south these past years, so she'd seen all varieties of beautiful men. What caught her attention was that Fu Mingxi's features actually held some similarities to a certain someone. Even though it was only vaguely similar, it still dazed her. Sensing hope, second elder hastily said, "If you don't mind him, I'll let him follow you after he graduates, President. After all, you know his roots, so you don't need to worry about his personality and character at all." "Sure," Yuan accepted. Second elder was elated with joy. "Great, then we'll settle this engagement here." The memory ended at that spot. The hypnotized Yuan inexplicably felt an urge to spit up blood. Why the heck did she recall her dark history first in this third hypnosis session that she obtained after great ordeal? It really was her who directly agreed to the engagement with Fu Mingxi back then. Although she said it in an intoxicated state, it still came from her mouth without question. Seriously, how sinful. She was better off forgetting this memory right now. She didn't want to recall it. At the same time, she noticed that she seemed to have substituted herself in that mood. When she conversed with second elder, her feelings felt empty and she couldn't raise her spirits toward anything. She speculated that she must have been rejected by Ji Shiran not too long ago and clearly still couldn't get over him yet, which was why she was dazed by Fu Mingxi's microscopic similarity to Ji Shiran. Before Yuan could mull over it, the scene changed to a grand and solemn-looking hall. Worryless, go there with the members of your Fearless Alliance. But Grandpa, what? You won't even listen to your grandpa's words now? Worryless doesn't dare. After a conversation with her grandpa, the scene changed again. Yi Wanwan realized she was very familiar with this new location. It was actually Azura's headquarters. In her memory, she seemed to be leading people and attacking Azura. Her surroundings were chaotic and clamorous. Yi Wanwan connected this scene with the earlier conversation with her grandpa. In other words, it was because of her grandpa's orders that she helped the martial arts union attack prison. As for her, she didn't seem to want to participate in the martial arts union's organized attack, but had to obey because of her grandpa's orders. She remembered, back then, the Fearless Alliance joined the fight against prison, and as its president, by phone, she led a group of her subordinates to spearhead the attack on Azura. Because the offense was progressing slowly, she snuck into Azura's headquarters by herself in an attempt to steal their battle plan. Yi Wanwan felt an inexplicable sense of excitement when she recalled these events. Azura. She finally remembered something related to Agio. She wondered how she and Agio met. Did they grow familiar after exchanging blows? A point worth noting was that her previous 2 hypnosis sessions contained heavy, repressive, hazy, and dim memories. But it was different this time. The scene in front of her was very bright and vivacious, making her heart pound because of it, as though this was a valuable and wonderful object treasured deep within her heart being revealed gently. Yi Wanwan watched as she leaped onto the roof and vault over walls in her memory, traversing through Azura's headquarters aerially until she unwittingly entered an abandoned courtyard located in the back. This seemed to be Azura's forbidden area, which was specifically used to imprison criminals who violated Azura's laws. Yi Wanwan's excitement grew. Wasn't this the place that Si Yihan brought her to when they cured the goo poison last time? She was wondering why that place felt familiar to her. She speculated that there was an 80% chance this was where she first met Si Yihan. Yi Wanwan was gleefully watching this memory when tragedy struck the next second. Plop! She had fallen into Azura's trap. The trap was triggered and countless blades shot toward her, injuring her thighs and abdomen. Although she was in a state of hypnosis and couldn't feel pain, she could still imagine the fright of nearly turning into a porcupine back then. Yi Wanwan wanted a refund from the old headmaster for this hypnosis session. Why did she keep remembering such painful things? Yi Wanwan dodged left and right and finally managed to escape the trap with great difficulty, but she was riddled with injuries. The sky was dark, and Yi Wanwan burst into a courtyard in her panic. When Yi Wanwan jumped into the courtyard, it was empty. It was a winter's night with a bright moon hanging overhead, and the first snow had graced the Independent State that night. After being decorated by white snow, this desolate and deadly silent courtyard actually appeared especially beautiful. It was at that moment that Yi Wanwan saw a man standing by the lake with a thin jacket draped over his shoulders. Hearing Yi Wanwan's footsteps, the man slowly turned around and looked at her. At one glance, Yi Wanwan was stupefied, even forgetting her pain. At that moment, between the beauty of the moon and the beauty of the snow, he was the third beauty. This was her first meeting with Si Yihan. When the hypnotized Yi Wanwan recalled things up to this point, she felt pain gripping her heart. She couldn't imagine how she forgot such a striking and stunning memory. She forgot about it. What intensified her heartache was that she didn't appear dazzlingly in front of Si Yihan during their first meeting and make him fall in love with her at first sight. Why did she appear covered in blood? That was too tragic. When a man detected someone had trespassed onto his territory, his originally harmless demeanor abruptly chilled. The chill struck her in an all-encompassing way. Yi Wanwan had lost too much blood to begin with and was standing in the snow, so she instantly felt colder. The beautiful man was indeed beautiful, but wasn't he too frightening? The man's aura was overly powerful and terrifying, provoking fear in Yi Wanwan, who was unafraid of neither heaven nor hell for the first time in her life. "Who are you?" Before Yi Wanwan could react, the Grim Reaper had arrived in front of her. Yi Wanwan's strength was meager, so she knelt down onto the ground while clutching her wounds. Her mind swiftly spun. Since this was Azura's forbidden area used to imprison criminals, could this person be a criminal in prison here after committing a wrong? If he was a punished criminal, perhaps she could lure him to defect? At that moment, The man looked down on her haughtily, his eyes landing on the embroidery on her clothes. He icily asked, "The Fearless Alliance?" Yi Wanwan's heart skipped a beat, and she inwardly cursed. She quickly covered the enormous "Fearless" embroidered on her clothes. It was her fault for being young and arrogant. She didn't change her clothes before infiltrating her enemy's camp, so she was recognized just like that. Believing she was going to die, Yi Wanwan bit her tongue and closed her eyes, and a trail of tears instantly streamed down her face. Yi Wanwan started trembling, akin to a fragile white flower fluttering in the wind, as she tragically said, "Yes, I'm a member of the Fearless Alliance. But I was forced." That demoness from the Fearless Alliance, bro flat top by phone, saw my decent martial arts skills, so she held my family hostage and forced me to join. She made someone good enter the life of a bandit. I had no choice. I had to sell my life to her. At that age, Yi Wanwan looked very fair and docile, so her appearance was indeed very deceptively innocent as long as she wasn't running rampant. Moreover, with a body full of injuries, she appeared even more pitiful and harmless. Yi Wanwan's excuse didn't have any holes, but it was still too idiotic if it was used to fend off people from Azura, because members of Azura wouldn't care whether you were forced to join or not. Furthermore, this person in front of her looked so scary. She could tell he wouldn't believe her or sympathize with her. It appeared she could only strike a deal. Yi Wanwan secretly peeked and saw the man looking at her expressionlessly without a trace of softening as she expected. Thankfully, she had something valuable on her. Yi Wanwan had no choice but to endure her pain and dig around her pocket. "Bro, if you save me today, I will." Great, she found it. With a swish from her pocket, Yi Wanwan pulled out a Xiaobing one. Fuck, a Xiaobing. Why the heck is it a Xiaobing? Where's the treasure I stole from the Shun family 2 days ago? I thought I had it on me. Shit, I think I was afraid of starving, so I replaced it with a Xiaobing. The words lingering in Yi Wanwan's throat took a twist. She blinked and forcefully decided to say, "I will promise to marry you." When a hypnotized Yi Wanwan remembered this, she wanted to commit suicide. Back then, her appearance when she told Si Yihan she would promise to marry him while covered in dirt and holding a lousy Xiaobing couldn't be any more idiotic. Why? Where were her promised, wonderful memories? Why the heck did it turn out like this? In the midst of Yi Wanwan's intense desire to kill herself by slamming the wall, the memory continued playing. Si Yihan glanced at her coolly before reaching out with his slender fingers and taking the Xiaobing. "What is this?" Si Yihan asked. Yi Wanwan was dumbstruck and dazedly answered, "It's a Xiaobing. Very yummy. I gave the owner a round of. I lined up for more than 10 hours to buy it." Confusion flitted through the man's face as though he'd never seen a Xiaobing before. Then he lifted up the Xiaobing and took a bite. Yi Wanwan became lost in her thoughts. How can he be so good-looking while eating a simple Xiaobing? He's simply a deity. After the man finished the Xiaobing, he peered down at her and said, "Follow me." Okay. Yi Wanwan dazedly stood up and obediently followed him despite not understanding his intentions. The man led her inside a house and tossed some ointment medicine to her. "Apply it yourself." Yi Wanwan was both surprised and joyed. "Huh? Why are you helping me?" The man apathetically replied, "The Xiaobing was decent. This is payment." Yi Wanwan, she actually used to a Xiaobing to trade for her life? This illogical maneuver was indeed Si Yihan's style. After musing about this, Yi Wanwan's second reaction was, "Fuck. My promise of marriage was inferior to a lousy Xiaobing. Was there any justice left? This lousy first meeting wasn't romantic in the slightest." Si Yihan left after tossing her the ointment. Yi Wanwan applied the ointment with difficulty and walked around the place. This place was run down and simple with abandoned surroundings. It really was a place used to imprison criminals. When a man saw her coming out, he coldly said, "Leave after applying the medicine." Yi Wanwan didn't fear this man as much anymore and started striking up a conversation with him. "What crime did you commit to be imprisoned here? I heard your Lord Azura is especially cruel and perverted. He would dig out someone's heart or lungs at a whim, and he even eats human flesh. I think you're going to end up like that one day, so why don't you leave with me? Ian asked. Lord Azura is cruel and perverted? That's right. Look at how good-looking and kind you are, but he actually locked you inside this rotten place. What is he but perverted? Ian was silent for a while before saying, This place is very dangerous. It isn't a place you should be. You on one side. I also don't want to be here, but this is the mission the President assigned to me. Azura's battle plans were too confidential, and we've suffered heavy losses lately, so the President sent me here to scout for information. Our President is very scary. If I don't finish the mission, she'll hit me. Yi Wanwan spoke very pitifully, and paired with her injuries and downcast look, she was the epitome of a trampled flower. The hypnotized Yi Wanwan couldn't help but ponder. It looks like my acting skills are innate. I'm about to applaud my own acting skills and shamelessness. When Ian heard that, he glanced at her. Tell your President to avoid the water route tomorrow. Yi Wanwan was startled by the sudden words. Azura is planning to ambush you along the water route, Ian continued. Ian's abrupt important information startled the pitiful, weak, and helpless Yi Wanwan. Why did you help me again? Yi Wanwan asked. Ian replied, Payment. Yi Wanwan was dumbfounded. Was that lousy Xiaobing that valuable? It was not only exchange for her life, but it also paid for such important intelligence. No, she wouldn't believe it. Ian had to have fallen in love with her at first sight. Otherwise, how could he betray his own group's intelligence to her as Azura's leader? The hypnotized Yi Wanwan felt very complicated emotions as she watched this. When Ian and she first met, neither of them knew about the other person's identity. They were clearly the leaders of the two factions, but both erroneously believed the other person was a lackey from the enemy faction. This scene was seriously too comedic. The Yi Wanwan in her memory was surprised and elated when Ian provided her with some intelligence. How do you know? Is your information reliable? Ian expressionlessly responded, I was responsible for this ambush plan before I got punished and became imprisoned here. Realization dawned on Yi Wanwan. So Ian was a minor leader in the northern branch. The hypnotized Yi Wanwan was rendered speechless by the past Ian. She never expected Ian's acting skills to hold a candle to hers. The past Yi Wanwan said, this is classified information, right? Why are you telling me? I don't like owing people favors. Go back and report this. Yi Wanwan, favor? What kind of freaking favor is that? It was just a lousy Xiaobing. Ian's way of thinking simply dumbfounded her. Logically speaking, she was injured, and not only did he save her, but he also told her important classified information. So it was she who owed him a favor no matter what, right? So why were things completely reversed on his side? Yi Wanwan was simply flabbergasted by this logic. She blurted out while murmuring, You not only saved me, but also revealed important information to me just to prevent me from marrying you? Am I really ugly? Ian was startled briefly before promptly replying, I don't need you to marry me, but you need a Xiaobing. Yi Wanwan. All right, I reached a conclusion. I'm inferior to a Xiaobing. The memory of her first meeting with him quickly ended. There were faint, intermittent memory fragments in which the fearless alliance used Ian's information and successfully dodged the ambush. What followed was Yi Wanwan running to Azura's headquarters to scout for intelligence every few days and seeing Ian while she was at it. The second time, she brought a giant meat bun. The third time, she hid a sticky rice ball. The fourth time, she brought a lollipop. Nearly every time, regardless of what she brought, Ian would provide her with a surplus payment, even if all she brought was some cornbread. He either provided her with intelligence or helped her do her homework. Grandpa would assign homework to her every day and make her crack some martial techniques. Although she was exceptionally talented, the problems her grandpa posed became harder and harder, and her capabilities started falling short. If she couldn't do it, she typically got punished. In the end, she merely mentioned a problem one time, casually, and Ian easily resolved it for her. Yi Wanwan increasingly realized that this man had to have been imprisoned for a very, very long time. He seriously didn't live like a mortal. Didn't he know the value of the items he gave as repayment? Someone as shameless as her was finding it hard to keep deceiving him. This man was basically a male version of Little Dragon Maiden from the ancient Tomb tribe and didn't know much common knowledge. For example, he had no idea what mahjong and cards were. It was as though he wasn't a mortal from this world and would levitate and ascend to heaven at any moment. Yi Wanwan felt rather apologetic, so she would rack her brain for good food and fun things to bring every time she visited him. The longer she knew him, the more she disliked the potential for him to possibly disappear at any second. This strange feeling terrified Yi Wanwan somewhat. Moreover, following the growing intensity of the fight between the martial arts union and prison, her frequent visits to Azura turned very dangerous. Today was the last time. She couldn't come again. I probably won't visit again, Yi Wanwan said. Every time, she merely came to see him and bring him something good to eat, but he'd pay her back so greatly each time, truly causing her to feel like she was taking advantage of him. She didn't want to use such a pure and kind-hearted person. The man's fingers froze over the card for a second before he calmly responded. And, upon seeing this lack of reaction, Yi Wanwan felt annoyed for some reason. Hey, I won't come anymore. Don't you have anything to say? Even if you won't miss me, won't you miss the xiaobings, the deep-fried breadsticks, the steamed buns, the mantus, and the lollipops I bring? Si Yin answered, I will. Yi Wanwan wanted to cry, her eyes turning red. You really will only miss the xiaobing, deep-fried breadsticks, the steamed buns, the mantus, and the lollipops. Si Yin furrowed his brows before adding a few words. I will miss you. Yi Wanwan's eyes brightened. Oomph. Missing me is just an afterthought, right? Yi Wanwan couldn't describe those messy feelings broiling inside of her. She dusted off her behind and stood up. I'll leave now. We won't see each other in Jianghu, but we'll meet again if fate wills it. Yi Wanwan walked away, her head drooping. She had no idea that after she left, the man stood in the same spot and stared after her for a long, long time before murmuring with his cool voice, We will meet again. Probably because the man disguised his feelings too well that the hypnotized Yi Wanwan still tragically thought it was one-sided love on her part back then. Not too long later, Azura's offensive power suddenly exploded, and the martial arts union was attacked more fiercely than ever before. At the risk of her life, Yi Wanwan was sent to Azura's headquarters by her grandpa to scout for intelligence. She maneuvered her way through Azura with familiarity like before, but to her surprise, a disaster befell her this time. She accidentally fell into Azura's trap again. The trap this time was an enormous hole. Although she cracked the mechanism and didn't get injured, the four sides of the hole were made of steel and metal, too slippery for her to climb up. Damn, if she couldn't escape before being discovered tomorrow, her only path out was to get caught by Azura. Yi Wanwan was spinning in anxiety and was searching to try to get out when the sound of footsteps was heard above her. Yi Wanwan's eyes turned piercing. Shit, is it an Azura member? Who's down there? Si Yin's familiar voice sounded heaven-sent to Yi Wanwan. She hastily yelled, It's me, it's me. A gust of wind was heard as the person above jumped down. Yi Wanwan jumped in fright and stared at Si Yin, who jumped down in the dim light. Shit, why did you come down here? Ah, this is a trap. To keep you company. I was afraid you were scared, Si Yin answered. Yi Wanwan's heart fiercely trembled when she heard him. Damn, did he have to use such an aloof voice to say such stirring words? And he just has to look so clueless. What a tragedy. It took me a lot of effort to decide to stop visiting him. She had discovered that something wasn't right about her feelings toward him, but the person in front of her was truly too naive and wonderful. She didn't want to deceive him anymore, and was afraid she wouldn't be able to hold herself back from doing something monstrous to him. Someone like her wasn't worthy of such a wonderful person. The past Yi Wanwan was drowning in her self-reproach and guilt, while the present Yi Wanwan had a god's eye view and was dumbfounded. Damn, Si Yin was Lord Azura, So how could he possibly be unaware of how to get out of his own trap? Ha ha ha. Yet he purposefully didn't deactivate the trap and stay down there with her. In her hypnotized state, Yuan was watching this memory from a god's eye view, so she would have nearly been fooled by him if she didn't see this. See Yihan. Absolutely. Freaking. Liked. Me. Yuan never expected that outwardly cold but inwardly passionate man to have possessed ulterior motives toward her since then. Moreover, Yihan back then was a lot more well-spoken than he was now. Listen to his words. A casual line was enough to make her maiden's heart burst and beat wildly. In this memory, Yuan and Yihan were trapped for 3 whole days, but thankfully didn't starve to death since she had a habit of carrying food with her. It wasn't until the 3rd day that Yuan accidentally hit the on and off switch, and the duo managed to get out. The present Yuan nearly leaped up from too much excitement. Fuck. She was an utter innocent and cute girl back then. She actually foolishly thought Yihan was naive, innocent, and pure, but ended up being led around on a leash by him. Just how cunning was this guy? He actually conspired against me like this. Yuan found it unbearable to keep watching this. However, this fragment of memory was unusually long and whole. The memory continued playing. Yuan could do nothing but watch these 2 black-hearted leaders sparring with their acting skills, each more of a white lotus than the other. The next memory segment struck an ominous feeling in Yuan though. The pastor suddenly received news that a woman recently appeared by Ji Shiran's side, and the 2 of them went everywhere together. In truth, Yuan was someone who wouldn't keep harassing the other person when she made up her mind to let them go. However, she'd liked Ji Shiran for too long, so the sorrow in her heart wasn't that easily soothed. This piece of news greatly affected the young Yuan still, and so Yuan hid inside a bar and got as drunk as a lord. Once again, the present Yuan saw that Yihan came to this bar as well at some point in time and sat fairly close to her. Later, the drunken Yuan absolutely lost all inhibitions. Gee, aren't I good looking? Aren't I cute? Why don't you like me? I like you so much. Why don't you like me? Fuck your sister. Who wants to be your younger sister? No way. No way would I like someone else. No way would I find someone I like more. No one way would I take a fancy to those wildflowers. Aside from you, everyone else is a part of the landscape. Yihan clearly heard everything Yuan said. Damn. The hypnotized Yuan finally understood why Yihan kept doubting that she sincerely liked him. He probably always thought she had someone she couldn't forget and knew that person was surnamed Ji. That was why he was particularly hung up about Ji Shiran. This memory fragment provided an answer to everything. Yuan really wanted to kill the drunken her. She wouldn't ever drink again. In the memory, Yihan silently sat in his seat and watched the drunken Yuan acting crazily. After slowly finishing the cup of liquor in his hand, Yihan stood up and walked over, catching Yuan from nearly tripping. He frostily said, "You will like someone else." Yuan's vision was blurry and couldn't recognize the person in front of her anymore. She turned furious instantly and glared at him. "I won't," Yihan retorted. "Is that so?" Yuan nodded vehemently. You're humiliating me. No way would I like someone else." The man narrowed his eyes slightly. He grasped her chin with his slender fingers and suddenly leaned close, pressing a kiss on her lips. "Did you like that?" The man's seductive breaths enveloped her, and his sitting beautiful face was centimeters away. Yuan felt her soul escaping from her body. At the same time, she sobered up a little and recognized the person in front of her. She dazedly answered, "I do." Logically speaking, Yuan was drunk and shouldn't have recalled this memory so clearly. However, the old headmaster's hypnosis skills were truly amazing and made her completely remember everything that happened. After this, she was brought back to Azura by Yihan. Yihan had no intention of taking advantage of her vulnerable state. Perhaps it was because Yuan didn't carry a Xiaobing on her, so she wasn't too attractive. After settling her in the room, Yihan was prepared to leave. What followed was purely Yuan acting suicidal. "Gorgeous. I'm quite good at fortune-telling. How about I read your palm for you? Yi Wanwan shot forward and blocked Si Yin's path before grasping his hand, not allowing him to refuse. She touched his hand this way and that, and carefully examined his palm. Gorgeous. Your life is lacking me. Yi Wanwan's flirting methods were truly rather tacky and terrible, but she had no presence of mind to care about that in her anxiety. She suddenly felt an especially intense feeling of unease. Whether it was food or an object she liked, she absolutely had to hurry and eat it, or else she would lose it again. She kept trying to repress herself. She wanted to be a moral person and refrain from committing such an atrocious crime. But she really liked him. She might be drunk, but she felt more awake than ever before. This was the first time Yi Wanwan felt like this since Ji Shiran. She thought her heart would never pound like this for anyone else again. Si Yin. Yi Wanwan redoubled her efforts. Also, do you know, you look especially similar to one of my relatives. Si Yin retorted, Is that so? Yi Wanwan said, Yes. You look especially similar to my mom's son-in-law. The man's perpetually expressionless face actually revealed a hint of a smile. Do you say this to every wildflower? Yi Wanwan indignantly protested. Nonsense. You aren't some wildflower. The man stared at her deeply. I'm not. Of course you aren't a wildflower. You're the stars, the ocean. I like you. Yi Wanwan looked up, her clear and bright eyes staring at him with unusual seriousness. Si Yin didn't expect her to say such a thing and was completely dazed by the last 3 words. However, he thought of something and his entire person wilted rapidly. No one likes me, Si Yin replied. Oh, how coincidental. My name is actually no one. Who am I? Yi Wanwan's mind was crisply clear. The world's kindest, purest, most wonderful, gorgeous man in the world who's been imprisoned by a cruel and perverted devil. The air was silent. Si Yin's faintly dangerous gaze unblinkingly locked onto her. Do you know what your words mean? What? Yi Wanwan asked. I mean, I won't let you go. Yi Wanwan blinked, uncomprehending. Why would you let me go? After saying that, she pattered over and leaned her head back, looking up at him in a pitiful, feeble, and helpless manner. I brought so many shaobings, so many buns, so many cornbreads, so many lollipops, but you still want to kick me out. You're too heartless. The moment Yi Wanwan finished speaking, she abruptly crashed down on the soft bed behind her. A second later, a heated kiss mixed with the taste of blood forcefully collided with the girl's lips, as though he wanted to crush her into pieces and meld her into his body. Yi Wanwan's brain started lacking oxygen, her head turning dizzy. I'm not an upright gentleman. The man panted as he covered her, encasing her with his shadow. He was akin to a beast who abruptly shredded his harmless appearance and revealed his fangs, every tinge of his dark and frightening aura pouring out from every direction. Yi Wanwan's eyes brightened, and she cheerfully replied, That's great. I'm also not. I will tell you a secret. I'm actually the head of bandits. They all call me a demoness. We're definitely a perfect match. Si Yin. The drunken girl acted like a completely different person, more passionate, brighter, and more magnetic. Yi Wanwan adamantly vowed, Don't worry. I will turn over a new leaf and turn into a good person. I will definitely like you wholeheartedly and treat you well. At the lack of response, Yi Wanwan frowned deeply and murmured to herself, Is it because I didn't bring any shaobings today? But I brought something else. Yi Wanwan searched and searched. After searching for half a day, she finally found a bag of popping candy. I'm telling you, this is super delicious. You absolutely haven't eaten them before. It will be an unprecedented experience. Yi Wanwan hyped it up extravagantly like a quack. After saying that, she immediately ripped open the packaging and handed some to Si Yin. The present Yi Wanwan wanted to slam her head against a wall and kill herself. Why the heck did she act so idiotically in front of Si Yin? She wanted to sleep with him using a mere bag of popping candy? What was she thinking? Keep dreaming. Perhaps she wasn't being hypnotized and was dreaming instead? Yuan was about to slam her head against a wall when she heard the past Siyin using his cello-like low and husky voice to answer. Okay. Siyin solemnly accepted the colorful bag from her, and a long, lingering kiss landed promptly. Yuan. Back then, she actually used one bag of popping candies to sleep with. See, Yi, Han. She wouldn't believe it. The next morning, when Yuan woke up and saw the man lying next to her on the bed, she was stupefied. Their clothes littered the floor, the man's chest lay naked, and she tyrannically hugged the man's arm and threw her leg over his body. Why were things like this? Yuan felt like lightning and thunder had struck a clear day and was utterly flabbergasted. When she smelled the alcohol reeking from her, she became more panicked. She was doomed. She finally committed a great crime. Yuan rolled over to the other side of the bed and scrambled up, hugging the comforter as she dumbfoundedly sat there with a head of disheveled hair. The man next to her seemed to have been awoken by the commotion, and his good-looking brows wrinkled before his eyes opened, turning toward her. When Yuan met those clear and flawless eyes, shame enveloped her, and she wanted to find a hole to burrow into. The normally witty and articulate Yuan couldn't utter a single word. Siyin rubbed his arm, which had turned numb under her, before sitting up. Since you're awake, you can leave. Yuan's heart chilled when she heard this. What do you mean? Although yesterday was an accident. I actually schemed for this for a long time. Blah. No, what I mean is, I'm serious. I also don't know what's wrong with me, but after getting to know you for so long, I seem to like being with you more and more. Although I said it was the last time many, many times, I still couldn't resist coming to see you in the end. I like you. Yuan said the 3 words, I like you again, in a sober state too. Siyin intently stared at her, as though he was afraid of missing a single word she spoke. After an unknown amount of time passed, Siyin finally said expressionlessly, We're not good together. The hypnotized Yuan fumed with rage. Damn. She nervously waited for a half a day, and Siyin actually replied with a we're not good together. This rotten old codger was so evil. She was actually more angry at herself. Why was she so silly and didn't realize the truth? That seemingly immortal beauty was playing hard to get with you. Why did she keep thinking Siyin had a low EQ? Yes, he had a low EQ, but his IQ was freaking high. He could spin her in circles using his IQ alone. However, she was angry, but her heart contained more glee. It turned out she wasn't the only one in love this whole time. Thinking up to this point, Yuan's feelings swiftly swiveled from this rotten old codger is so evil to why is my baby so adorable. While Yuan continued traveling down memory lane in a love-struck reverie, the past her blurted out, Nonsense. I'm good with everyone. Yuan, fine, that really is my style of speech. Moments later, the duo sat down in the living room after getting dressed. The atmosphere entered a deadlock. Siyin sipped some tea before he seemingly nonchalantly asked, What do you like about me? Yuan cupped her chin, her eyes sparkling. She was staring at the man who was celestially handsome and made her infatuated and head over heels in love, even though he was merely wearing a simple dress shirt and was sitting there drinking tea. Unable to help herself, she blurted out, You're good-looking. Siyin put down the teacup and glanced up at her. There are many good-looking people in this world. Yuan replied without any hesitation. Nonsense. There isn't anyone better looking than you. Just as she said that, a voice suddenly came from the door. Little girl, aren't your words too absolute? The hypnotized Yuan was astonished. She didn't expect to see Zhang Lihen in her memories. Siyin's good looks were the fleeting and illusory type that seemed separated by a layer of muslin, emanating a great sense of distance. But Zhang Lihen's good looks were different. He was an earthly peony that any seer could hit on. As someone obsessed with looks, Yuan was truly stunned. At the same time, Yuan sharply detected a fresh sense of coldness in the air that caused her to shiver inexplicably. Yi Wanwan immediately looked away and turned back to see Yihan, asking, "Baby, who is he? Your friend? Why do you have such an ugly-looking friend?" When Jiang Lihan heard Yi Wanwan addressing Si Yihan as baby, he stumbled and fell. That last line nearly caused him to choke, and he incredulously asked, "Cough, cough, cough, cough. What did you say? Say it again." Yi Wanwan scampered toward Si Yihan's side and peered at him in a docile, well-behaved, and adorable manner. "No worries, baby. I might have a face complex, but I will reluctantly greet him if he's your friend." The unspoken line was, "I might have a face complex, but I only have a complex about your face." The hypnotized Yi Wanwan was shocked by her immensely powerful survival instincts back then and almost couldn't resist sitting up and clapping for herself. She was seriously too awesome, all right? It turned out she was already so skilled back then. Si Yihan glanced at her arm around his, and a gentleness he himself didn't detect arose in his eyes. "What did you call me?" Yi Wanwan looked up and daintily replied, "Baby, do you like this nickname?" They still didn't know each other's names and never asked the other person. After all, the other person came from the enemy faction and held an opposing status, so they tacitly avoided this. Yi Wanwan leaned closer, and her cautious appearance was like she was approaching some particularly easy-to-frighten small animal. Can I keep calling you this from now on?" Si Yihan's expression was dazed when he met her bright and resplendent eyes. A moment later, he expressionlessly responded, "It's just a nickname. As you please." Yi Wanwan was elated. "That's great. Then I'll call you baby from now on. You can call me call me darling." Yi Wanwan didn't have any sense of rejection and cheerfully decided everything on her own. "Shit, my eyes." Jiang Lihan couldn't believe what he was seeing. Si Yihan glanced at the incredulous Jiang Lihan, the distaste in his eyes obvious. "Did you need something?" I was afraid you'd be bored, so I came to visit you. It looks like you probably won't need me." Si Yihan, "No need." Jiang Lihan, faced with his best friend's heartlessness, Jiang Lihan clutched his heavily wounded heart before saying to Yi Wanwan with a chuckle, "Little girl, your taste is very unique. You actually like this guy?" Yi Wanwan was very displeased by Jiang Lihan's words. "What about my taste, huh? My baby is gentle and wonderful and kind-hearted and pure. Moreover, he's a lotus flower who emerged unsoiled from the mud and cleansed of the world's evils. He's the best and nicest person in the world." Jiang Lihan was clearly startled and couldn't regain his wits for half a day. He looked at Si Yihan strangely. "He's gentle, wonderful, kind-hearted, pure. He's a nice person." Yi Wanwan glared at him. "That's right. What about it? Hey, who the heck are you? Don't tell me you're someone sent by that pervert Lord Azura to torture my baby, right?" Hold on, what did you say? That pervert Lord Azura?" Jiang Lihan looked like he was in a dream and blurted out, "Say, little girl, do you know he is?" Before Jiang Lihan could finish speaking, he sensed the gaze of death shooting toward and piercing him. And so, the second half of Jiang Lihan's sentence forcefully twisted from, "He's the perverted Lord Azura you speak of," to, "That's right. He's gentle and wonderful and kind-hearted and pure. He's absolutely a super nice person who emerged unsoiled from a mud." Jiang Lihan felt like he'd never uttered anything as dishonest as this in his life. That gaze of death finally retracted. Jiang Lihan cleared his throat before saying, "Allow me to introduce myself. Actually, I'm a relative of the second and of the third and of the cousin of a hall master of a branch-serving under-hall master gang. I'm a gopher who runs errands at Heavenly Hatred Gang and have known your baby for many years. We're good friends." Yi Wanwan nodded. "I see. Then allow me to also introduce myself. I'm the subordinate of the disciple of the Deputy Hall Master of the Northern Branch of the Fearless Alliance. However, it was that bastard demoness of the Fearless Alliance, Bro Flattop, who forced me to join." The hypnotized Yi Wanwan sunk into deep speechlessness. What else could she say? She had to individually give Oscars to these three people. The following memory fragments were mainly comprised of her multitudinous ways of pursuing her husband while Si Yihin rotated between hard-to-get schemes, beauty traps, and self-inflicted injury ruses. This romance seriously frustrated Yuanwan. Throughout their continuous interactions, Yuanwan gradually softened Si Yihin's attitude. Of course, from the present Yuanwan's viewpoint, Si Yihin was also slowly making her unable to extricate herself. At the same time, prison and the martial arts union were at a stalemate in their long battle, so they temporarily entered an armistice. Detecting opportune timing, Yuanwan finally exposed her fiendish fangs and launched her kidnapping plan. Baby, don't tell me you're planning to stay imprisoned in Azura for the rest of your life. Let's leave this place. Aside from here, I have nowhere else to go, Si Yihin replied. Yuanwan instantly refuted him. It's fine as long as I have somewhere to go. Leave with me. I've already taken care of my family, so I'm preparing to leave the Fearless Alliance. It's perfect. We can leave together. Si Yihin paused and concealed the light in his eyes before looking at her. Leave together? That's right. Yuanwan was worried he wouldn't understand, so she cleared her throat before explaining. Did I not speak clearly enough? Let me switch the wording. What I'm saying is let's elope. Elope. Si Yihin's gaze wildly flickered. If you're doing all this because of that accident, it's unnecessary. Yuanwan self-righteously responded, Please, how could it be because of that? Am I someone who's only infatuated and covetous of your body? I like you, all right. You aren't covetous? I'm still covetous. After saying that, Yuanwan coughed awkwardly. What's wrong with me coveting my man? Huh? Besides, I didn't just covet you that one time. I'm going to covet you your whole life. Your whole life. Those are probably the 3 most perfect words in the world. You don't mind that I'm from Azura? Si Yihin asked, looking at her seriously. Yuanwan was blasé. What's there to worry about? You're just the minor leader of a branch, not that perverted Lord Azura. Si Yihin. Anyway, we're both insignificant nobodies, so being enemies has nothing to do with us. Yuanwan fibbed without skipping a beat. It's unrelated. Lord Azura's bullshitting abilities obviously weren't weaker than Yuanwan's. Sensing promise, Yuanwan's eyes brightened. Right. Moreover, I've pursued you for so long. Don't you trust me yet? Seriously, the efforts I spent to chase you would be enough for me to build 10 fearless alliances. Of course, I'm willing even if you make me spend the efforts of building 10 Azuras. Si Yihin couldn't shift his eyes away from the blazing light in her eyes. Imperceptible contempt flitted through his eyes when he heard 10 Azuras. Even 10 Azuras couldn't compare to a photon of the light in her eyes. I can't consider it, Si Yihin finally responded. Yuanwan's head drooped instantly. How long will you take to consider it? If he was going to consider it for a decade, wouldn't she turn into a wilted flower from waiting? Don't you like to eat xiaobing? I recently found a chef who specializes in making xiaobing, so I've mastered the art. I can make it for you every day at home from now on. Si Yihin, sure. He clearly knew she probably wouldn't care as much after winning over all of him, but he still couldn't reject her, let's leave together, and your whole life. Yuanwan finally realized what Si Yihin said after half a day. What? What did you just say? You agreed? Just because she learned how to make xiaobing? If she had known this earlier, would she have pursued him so strenuously? She should have just outrightly sent him a card of xiaobing every day. If that happened, perhaps she would have won him over ages ago. Yeah, didn't you say you needed to consider it? Yes, I've finished considering. Yuanwan, are you sure this isn't because of xiaobing? Yuanwan and Si Yihin found a very beautiful and secluded location and settled there, isolating themselves from all the turmoils of the outside world. And so, the duo's reclusive life began. She had never felt that relaxed and happy. However, a major hidden worry dwelt inside this bliss. She continued to conceal her true identity from him. She couldn't imagine the consequences of such a pure and kind-hearted person learning she was the president of the Fearless Alliance. In Yuanwan's anxiety, she summoned some higher-ups and called an emergency meeting. When everyone reported their tasks and waited for Yi Wanwan to provide a conclusion, Yi Wanwan started. After a series of careful deliberations, I've decided. I'll donate 100 million to the Independent State Charity Association and build 100 free martial arts schools within 1 year and send 10 trucks of emergency supplies to 34th District. Toward the end, Yi Wanwan concluded, "Your president has decided. From today onwards, I'll be a good person." After Yi Wanwan's speech ended, her audience was stupefied and a dead silence draped over the room. First elder, "President, did you drink today?" Second elder, "She seems to have drunken quite a lot." Third elder, "Big Dipper, 7-star, didn't I tell you to watch over the president and stop her from drinking?" Big Dipper, "I did. I threw away all of Sis Feng's alcohol, all right. Don't randomly blame people." Third elder, "Then what's wrong with the president? Why are you making excuses for your incompetence?" Big Dipper, blah, "You old fart. You only know how to blame this and that. Why didn't you stop her yourself?" The conference room degenerated into a quarrel. In the chief's seat, Yi Wanwan silently face-palmed. She also thought she was too blind during that speech just now. She'd better go have a drink to calm down. In the end, Yi Wanwan gave up that scary thought. Even if she started doing good deeds now, it wouldn't change the reality that she was a bandit leader. The mere thought of her baby looking at her in fear and disgust was unbearable. Nope, I must securely conceal this alias. I can't scare him. That's right, for my baby, I'm a pure and wonderful little white flower. In Yi Wanwan's memory, this romance was fairly thrilling and exciting too. For example, they ate outside one time, but unexpectedly ran into miscreants. Yi Wanwan and Si Yihin were heading home after the meal and walking their own paths without causing any trouble, but a group of people fierily appeared ahead of them, walking toward their direction. That group was utterly smashed and took over the whole road, staggering everywhere. They fell down after crashing into Yi Wanwan and Si Yihin, but started blaming the duo instead. "Shit, how dare you slam into me? Do you want to die?" The fallen tattooed, brawny man yelled furiously. His subordinates rushed up at once. "Motherfucking, you two, come here and apologize to my big bro. You want to die, huh?" Yi Wanwan took a brief look at them and discovered this group wasn't some common street gang and were actually members of a local group, Black Tiger Gang. The fallen guy was even a hall master. The martial strength of this group wasn't low, especially the hall master of Black Tiger Gang. He possessed a degree of fame in the martial arts world. Even so, she could still win this battle, herself versus many of them. But she couldn't do it right now. Her baby was there right now. In front of her baby, she wasn't able to open even the lid of a soda bottle. Si Yihin's eyes chilled as these people cursed unreasonably. "Shit, damn punk, you have the guts to glare at me." Yi Wanwan's heart skipped a beat when she saw the members of the Black Tiger Gang more clearly. "I'm SCR asterisk wed." She had pummeled these guys before, and they all recognized her. However, thank goodness Yi Wanwan dressed like the epitome of a proper maiden every time she went out to prevent her identity from being exposed, and she wore a pair of thick black-framed glasses. Furthermore, this group of people was drunk off their socks, so they didn't seem to recognize Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan relaxed upon seeing that. Yi Wanwan cleared her throat before pinching her voice and daintily said, sorry, big brothers, we really didn't mean it. Can you generous sirs forgive the mistakes of us lowly people? We won't do it again." Yi Wanwan didn't notice how Si Yihin's eyes were as icy as the Arctic when he heard Yi Wanwan say big brother. One of the hall master's underlings saw how delicate and cute Yi Wanwan was, and his attitude changed quite drastically. Big bro, how about we forget it? Why are we bickering with a girl?" The hall master's menacing expression still carried some anger. Yi Wanwan said, "This big brother has such a mighty appearance. I can tell you're handsome and kind. You definitely won't bother with us." The hall master looked slightly mollified, clearly pleased by Yi Wanwan's bootlicking. "Count yourself lucky. I'll spare you this time." However, the hall master sent his underling a look. The underling caught the hint and instantly understood. He looked Yuan and Siyin up and down as he said, "We can spare your wretched lives today, but do you want to run off so fast after crashing into our big bro? Isn't that too insincere?" Yuan understood at once, contempt rising in her heart. Although their fearless alliance had a bad reputation in society, they never harassed the weak and wouldn't perform minor gigs like robbery and making small gains. If they were going to do anything, they would pull off something grand. They either went big or went home. This was why the fearless alliance had such a notorious reputation, but no one dared to provoke them, and the top-tier organizations were cautious toward them. Anyway, she seriously looked down on these people. Yuan was afraid Siyin couldn't endure it, so she quickly lowered her voice and said, "Don't act impulsively. Otherwise, if the matter escalates and our identities get exposed, we'd be SCR*wed." After all, the two of them escaped from their respective organizations. Yuan especially. These people knew her, so she'd lose her alias if things escalated. "I will give them all the valuables I have on me," Yuan quickly added. Thankfully, Siyin didn't object and retained a calm attitude. Okay, Siyin didn't have anything valuable on him, so only Yuan handed over her wallet and a pendant hanging from her hip to those people. "Brothers, here's some kind regard from us. Please accept them." Those people accepted the money without any reservations, but were still unsatisfied. They stared at Siyin and asked, "What about this punk? You should know from how commonly he's dressed. There's neither a penny nor anything valuable on him," Yuan softly explained. The underling snorted. "Can't say for sure. I'd have to search to know." Yuan's eyes chilled slightly. "Fuck, these ungrateful brats. Is my baby someone you can touch?" As the underling said that, he sent 2 people to search Siyin. How could Yuan allow those people to touch Siyin with their dirty paws? The string in her head snapped immediately, and she lost control. Damn, forget it. Dropping her alias was fine. Touching her baby absolutely wasn't allowed. However, at that moment, Siyin pressed down on her hand and gently looked at her. "It's fine, let them search." Yuan was touched to death. Her baby was seriously too nice and too gentle. Okay. In the end, those people dashed forward and roughly searched Siyin's whole body. Siyin stood unmoving in his spot, allowing them to search without care. However, Yuan originally didn't mind this trivial matter too much, but after those people touched Siyin, her rage surged higher and higher. "Fuck, Black Tiger Gang is it? You're freaking dead. Meat." After they left, Yuan was still beside herself with anger. I'm so mad. Those people. They're merely a motley crew, so there's no need to bother with them. Since they wanted money, we could just give it to them. "Safety first," Siyin calmly said before instructing her. "You've separated yourself from the Fearless Alliance now, so you have to act more low profile from now on and avoid getting into conflicts with people easily." Yuan grumbled. "You're too nice and too sweet-tempered, baby." Then to maintain her character, she instantly added, "But you're right, baby. There's no need to bother with them. It's only by repaying evil with good that we can accumulate karmic rewards. Otherwise, when will an eye for an eye end?" The present Yuan didn't know how to comment on this duo's conversation. One was a bandit leader, and the other was one of prison's 3 major heads. Didn't their consciences hurt when they said things like acting low profile and repaying evil with good? She didn't believe she'd forgive them that easily back then. The memory continued. As expected, that night, Yuan left her secluded home and sneakily made her way to the group from Black Tiger Gang. "Haha, that girlie just now had a nice figure actually, and a sweet voice too." That's right. She rather knew how to talk. Her voice was like an Oriole's. We should have kept her. But the damn punk next to her had such a menacing look. He's probably not someone to be offended. TCH, there's someone our third bro doesn't dare to offend in this territory. That's true, haha. Big bro, if you like her, we can go and help you snatch her. Yuan had a piece of dog's tail grass in her mouth as she squatted on the side of the road and happened to hear voices from that drunken group. They seemed to be discussing her. Yuan Wan spat out the grass from her mouth and languidly sauntered out from the bushes. "Were you all looking for me?" Yuan Wan asked. When the group from Black Tiger Gang saw Yuan Wan, they were astonished but quickly became excited. Isn't it that girly? Why did you come looking for us yourself? What? Did you take a fancy to our big bro? Haha. The group rolled with laughter, suggestive expressions on their faces. Yuan Wan sneered. "I have limited patience. Who's the blind guy who touched my man earlier? Come out here now." Yuan Wan's drastic change in attitude caused their expressions to change. "Damn bitch, what did you say? Are you suicidal?" "Suicidal? True, you're rather suicidal." Yuan Wan retorted. "Damn, little slut. I think you." One of the men charged toward her as he shouted that, but a loud bang rang out before he could finish speaking, and the man was kicked into the air like a sandbag. "Damn, this bitch knows some moves. No wonder she's so arrogant. Come, attack her." Yuan Wan rotated her wrists before bolting forward like a flash of lightning, taking care of the other people before apprehending the two men who body-searched Si Yihan and ferociously beat them. Finally, Yuan Wan nonchalantly started strolling toward the hall master from Black Tiger Gang. The hall master looked at his fallen underlings, enraged. "Little bitch, you're quite gutsy. Which group are you with? Declare your name. How dare you provoke the Black Tiger Gang?" Yuan Wan slapped off the dust on her and raised her brows. "My name." These underlings were all experts in Black Tiger Gang, but were taken care of in under 10 minutes by this woman like she was chopping lettuce. He clearly saw how extremely vicious and bone-chilling her attacks were too. There wasn't anyone who wasn't familiar with the Black Tiger Gang in this territory, who was suicidal enough to provoke them. The hall master was instantly enraged. "Do you know who I am? I'm the hall master of Black Tiger Gang, Feng Kuan. Declare your name if you have the guts. I'm definitely going to decimate your gang." Yuan Wan chuckled lightly. "Sure, I'll welcome all of you to visit any time. Our front door is always open for you all." After saying this, Yuan Wan languidly pulled off the black-framed glasses from her face with one hand. At the same time, her other hand tossed aside the pink ribbon tying her hair, loosening the delicate hairstyle she had done by a hairstylist. Her long, black hair flowed down, paired with the girl's emotionless and chilly eyes. This scene struck terror into its watchers. Under the moonlight, the girl was very pretty, but this scene was scarier than seeing Rakshasa. "BBA bye phone." The hall master hastily staggered back when he recognized the person in front of him, landing butt first on the ground. How is this possible? How could that dainty girl be bro flat top by phone? Black Tiger Gang would never forget this face. Back then, she was tormented once because he suicidally clashed with the Fearless Alliance, so he was no stranger to Bai Feng's face. They merely couldn't recognize her at all in her previous attire. Feng Kuan scurried toward Yuan Wan and plopped down in front of her on his knees. Grandfather, I'm sorry. Boss Bai, we were blind to not have recognized your esteemed self. I didn't expect you to secretly visit my lousy place incognito. Please forgive me for my mistake, sir. Please make allowances for me." The other underlings were flabbergasted from their terror and quickly threw themselves at Yuan Wan's feet, bawling and sobbing as they kowtowed. "Boss Bai, spare me. Spare me. Bunch of blind things. Hurry and return Boss Bai's items to her." Feng Kuan kicked them. The frightened, dumbstruck underlings reverently returned the objects they robbed in haste. "What? Didn't you want to pay a visit to my Fearless Alliance?" And no need. These people didn't dare to act insolently in front of this demoness, and woeful howling enveloped the scene. Who would have expected they would be blind enough to run into bro flat top, hitting on a man in female clothes? They even disturbed her appetite and touched her prey. Weren't they suicidal? Several days later, Yuan Wan originally planned to secretly teach the Black Tiger Gang a lesson. To her surprise, they provoked someone unknown and got completely annihilated. "Baby, did you know? The Black Tiger Gang, who made trouble with us last time, got completely annihilated by someone. I wonder which group did it." Yuan Wan exclaimed. Si Yian's expression remained unchanged. "Really?" Yuan Wan nodded. "Yes, I heard the news outside just now. Baby, it appears virtue really has its rewards and evil its retribution. Justice eventually defeats evil. Siyin replied, Yes, there's still mostly good people in this world. That's right, that's right. The hypnotized Yi Wanwan stood in silent tribute for the Black Tiger Gang for 1 second. She didn't need to ask to know the culprit was Siyin. This Black Tiger Gang was rather unlucky and managed to offend the bosses of the Fearless Alliance and Azura in one go. At this point in her memories, Yi Wanwan and Siyin basically behaved like an old couple. They normally lived like recluses inside the courtyard, playing instruments or chess games or preparing some tea. They even grew a pond of water lilies and raised several cranes, spending their days fairly leisurely and freely. To match her elegant and noble baby, she even seriously learned to play the zither and go, learned calligraphy and painting, and would pronounce her words carefully like a writer in everyday conversation. This caused the guys from the Fearless Alliance to live in terror every day, and they stayed far away from her in fear, thinking she was drinking heavily again. One day, the worried Yi Wanwan furtively probed, baby, let me ask you a question. Siyin, what is it? Yi Wanwan carefully picked her words. What are your thoughts on the president of the Fearless Alliance, bro, Flat Top? Why are you asking this? Siyin couldn't figure out why she suddenly asked this question. Yi Wanwan offhandedly replied, I'm just curious and randomly asking. What kind of person do you think Bai Feng is? Siyin's face turned stern as he ordered. This person is very dangerous, so stay far away from her. Don't participate in the Fearless Alliance's fights anymore. When Yi Wanwan heard Siyin's opinion, her heart plunged down to the earth, chilled. Very dangerous, very dangerous. Wah, I'm actually not dangerous at all. I'm very soft and cute. Siyin sensed something was amiss after a second, and Yi Wanwan quickly regained her composure. Ahem, don't worry, don't worry. Of course I know. I've broken all ties with the Fearless Alliance already. We made a clean break and absolutely won't have any more dealings with them again. I also definitely won't come into contact with that demoness. I have another question. Yi Wanwan finally relaxed when Siyin didn't seem to suspect anything. She took a deep breath before making up her mind and continuing, baby, since the first time I met you, it feels like I'm always forcing you. Do you rather dislike me? In truth, if you really don't like me, you don't have to force yourself. Siyin was startled, and his scorching gaze turned toward her as he slowly asked, Why do you think I'm forcing myself? Yi Wanwan blinked and dazedly answered, didn't you only come with me because of the Xiaobing? Back then, you also only saved me because of some Xiaobing. Later, because I gave you a bag of popping candy. That night, you agreed and said the more Yi Wanwan spoke, the more depressed she became. Who would have expected her love rival to be Xiaobing? Oh, right, there was also steamed buns, mantus, cornbreads, and popping candies. Siyin looked at her with a complicated expression. That's what you think. Yi Wanwan blinked. That's right. Actually, I've been wanting to ask you, why do you like Xiaobing and popping candy so much? I was actually completely drunk back then. I completely didn't expect to exchange a bag of popping candy with you. Yet you agreed to stay with me. You're so good but so clueless and don't know anything. I don't want to deceive you or use you. You're free now, so you can eat anything and do anything you want. If you like the food I gave you, you could buy those items anywhere. They're not rare objects. Siyin's fingers froze around the black chess piece he held. Do you want to know why? Yi Wanwan vehemently nodded. Yes, I do. Siyin placed down the chess piece and casually replied, Because no matter what you use to trade with me, I will say yes. Yi Wanwan's mind crashed at once. The hypnotized Yi Wanwan was love-struck by this sweetness. It appeared a certain someone's sweet-talking had been so convoluted eons ago. Memories played in her mind like a carousel lantern, and this time, her memories were very fluid and microscopic to the most minor detail, showing just how important and memorable this segment of her past was to her. Perhaps she could recover all of her memory this time? However, just as Yuan thought that, when she entered the martial arts union again and conversed with her grandpa, an intense pain pierced her mind. Her grandpa's blurry figure started flickering, and the contents of her conversation with her grandpa escaped her mind. The harder she tried to recall it, the more intense the pain was. Yuan had a faint feeling that this portion of her memories was probably buried the deepest. It was also the source of her gut-wrenching agony and desire to forget everything. This hypnosis session lasted longer than the previous 2 times. When Yuan woke up, it was nighttime already. Such a long series of memories actually only took a little over half a day. The sharp pain in her mind caused Yuan to abruptly roll up from the chair, sweat soaking her forehead. "You're awake." The headmaster was combing his beard as he looked at Yuan on the chair with a satisfied expression. This hypnosis session lasted the longest, meaning the effects were decent. Yuan wiped off some sweat, her expression still dazed as she hadn't returned to the present yet. A moment later, she nodded with a tinge of pity. "I thought I'd be able to remember everything this time." She hadn't recalled darling Tang Tang and the matters she cared most about yet. The headmaster said, his tone heavy, "Little girl, you mustn't be so greedy in life. If you recalled everything all at once, your mind wouldn't be able to handle it." Yuan sat up properly and mulled over it. Being able to remember her romantic journey with Si Yihan was already the greatest reward. These honor points were well spent. "Sir Headmaster, thanks. I'll come find you again next time." Yuan then tried to bargain with a grin. "Look, Sir Headmaster, I've visited you so many times already. Can't you give me a discount?" The headmaster sternly glared at her. "I can cut your legs." "Ahem. Sorry for bothering you." Yuan secretly called him petty before swiftly leaving. She was rather lucky and had a fairly successful hypnosis session, so the trouble with Si Yihan should finally be resolved without a problem. However, Yuan had no idea that the world outside had turned upside down already. The baby in her memories who turned her into a love-struck teenage girl had entirely entered a crazed state at the hot springs resort. Si Yihan's expression instantly turned empty. "She is worryless. Ahem. Why, yes." Lin Ke trembled in fear when faced with his 9th brother's expression. Since Si Yihan's current state was too scary, Jiang Lihan also didn't dare to continue running his mouth off. In the end, he couldn't endure this frightening pressure and tried to make a joke before fleeing. Actually, being deceived is nothing. Being cheated on is also nothing major. It's no big deal. Think positively. I.e., don't feel too sad. There are plenty more fish in the sea. Xie Qianshuan coughed awkwardly and furtively comforted him before hastily bolting as well. When Lin Ke saw Jiang Lihan and Xie Qianshuan fleeing, he also decisively escaped, not wanting to serve as cannon fodder. From the second Si Yihan learned about Yuan being worryless, he sat in his seat, unmoving. His tea went from warm to cold, and the blazing sun wilted from the sky. Jiang Lihan, Xie Qianshuan, and Lin Ke hid in a nearby corner and conversed while whispering. Jiang Lihan kept shaking his head and sighing. "Why, how wretched. I never expected Ai to also be afflicted by love wounds one day." Xie Qianshuan was somewhat worried. "I feel like this matter affected him pretty badly. Do you think he won't be able to recover after this stumble?" Jiang Lihan adamantly nodded and said with conviction, "Definitely. I've never seen Ai care about a woman as deeply as her. I have to say, that woman is seriously terrible. Isn't she playing with someone's feelings?" Jiang Lihan stared at the desolate silhouette sitting in the distance, clicking his tongue. "Do you think Ai will withdraw into himself completely after this?" Lin Ke was also incredibly worried and anxiously said, "Stop gossiping. 9th brother broke up, so you should at least go up and comfort him." Jiang Lihan agreed. "You're right. He does need to be comforted. Look at how he's sat there the whole afternoon without moving. He must be so broken-hearted." The trio was discussing how they should comfort a certain person's wounded spirit when the statue like Si Yihan slowly stood up all of a sudden. When Seihin turned around and the night breeze passed by him, the trio involuntarily shivered. "And ninth, brother, are you okay? Where are you going?" Lin Kei asked with a stutter. Seihin peered down and fixed the cuffs on his black suit. His hoarse voice was cool like the frost of late autumn. "The Nye residence." Lin Kei was startled, unable to react. "Ji go to the Nye residence? Why are we going there?" Seihin looked up after tidying his cuffs. His originally calm and aloof eyes were scarlet red, seeming to billow with a violent storm. He quietly and nonchalantly said, "Inform Jiang Yan. Dispatch all men within 15 minutes." Jiang Lihan and Xie Qianchuan jolted in fright. Seihin had restrained his personality a lot after coming back, as though he was a different person. However, at this moment, he seemed to have instantly reverted back to the chilly and bloodthirsty Lord Azura from back then. Lin Kei was stupefied. "Go to the Nye residence? Dispatch all men to the Nye residence? What the heck are you doing, ninth brother?" Oh my god. He knew ninth brother would be sucked into a violent rage because of what happened with Yi Wanwan this time, but he never expected things to develop to this point. Regardlessly of how abominable that damn girl Yi Wanwan was, her identity right now was the second miss of the Nye family. Worryless Nye, to say the least. Who were the Nye family? They were the leader of the independent states' 4 great clans. Seeking trouble with the Nye family meant a world war. Xie Qianchuan and Jiang Lihan were also stunned. "What? No way, right, Ai? You want to attack the Nye family?" Jiang Lihan was flabbergasted. Xie Qianchuan frowned slightly. "Ai, calm down. This matter requires careful deliberation." Before they could continue, Seihin had walked away and disappeared into the night. Xie Qianchuan and Jiang Lihan stood in their spots, blankly staring at each other. Afflicted by love wounds? Unable to recover after this stumble? It was all nonsense. They actually forgot how frightening this guy's innate nature was. On the other side, after leaving the headmaster's office, Yuanwan planned to seek out Si Yihan immediately. However, she accidentally overheard a conversation as she walked through the campus. These are troubling times. The independent state will probably enter chaos." "What do you mean? You don't know yet?" "Azura and the Nye family started fighting." "Damn, Azura and the Nye family started fighting? This explosive? Seriously? What's going on?" Yuanwan stomped on the brakes, thinking she heard wrong. After carefully thinking it though, wasn't this normal? The independent state was disordered. Today, several groups disliked each other and got into spats. Tomorrow, they riled each other up more and got into bigger fights. Fighting occurred nearly every day, so this wasn't news. It was just Azura and the Nye family fighting today, no? Wait, Azura, the Nye family. What? Azura and the Nye family started fighting? Yuanwan finally regained her wits and stood dumbfounded in her spot. Freaking! Why did my man start fighting with my family? Isn't this friendly fire? Family fighting family? Besides, Tang Tang is still freaking home. Several other students surrounded the speaking student. The student continued, "Of course it's true. Don't forget what my specialty is. This is first-hand news I scouted. It happened just today. Right now, the Nye residence has been tightly beleaguered by members of Azura. Nye family's other forces are all rushing there, and nameless Nye's mercenary teams are in full attendance. A war will be triggered at any moment." That mercenary seemed to be adept at scouting for information, so the people around him all believed him when they heard how vividly he described things. They started loudly arguing, each person talking over the others. Damn, each member from nameless Nye's team is more demented than the next. Are you serious? The Nye family aren't so easily trifled with. Furthermore, the Nye family and Azura have always minded their own business without any interactions or business relations. As long as there wasn't some conflict in profits, top-tier factions like Azura and the Nye family absolutely wouldn't start fighting. That's right. It's normal for common factions to starting fighting, but Azura and the Nye family? As soon as they wage war, It'd be a case of pulling one hair and the whole body moves. Countless factions in the independent state would get dragged in. Faced with everyone's doubtful gazes, the speaker turned urgent. Shit, I swear. If I'm lying to you, I'll kill himself, and you can make me eat shit. Azura really encircled the Nier residents. I'm a beast if I'm lying to you, all right? When they heard that, everyone's doubts finally dissipated. It appeared Azura and the Nier family really got into conflict. However, what was the reason? Ever since Azura rolled back from the dust, haven't they been too arrogant? Where did they get the nerve to attack the Nier family? They're the leader of the independent state's 4 great clans. Azura also isn't weak, all right? I don't think it will be a piece of cake for the Nier family this time. No matter how strong they are, they still can't provoke the Nier family. Barring the Ling family, the Nier, Shun, and Ji families are birds of a feather. The Nier family especially has intricate relationships in the independent state. Forget about Azura, but even the martial arts union wouldn't dare to easily harm a hair on the Nier family. Isn't Azura too gutsy? But Azura is one of prison's core factions. This is a war between a dragon and a tiger. Why the heck did they start fighting all of a sudden? Yuan also really wanted to know. She frowned as she wondered. Azura and the Nier family started fighting? Why? Immediately, a man's figure surfaced in Yi Wanwan's mind. Nameless Nier, don't tell me my extremely unreliable brother went off and caused trouble again, provoking Azura this time? However, after some careful consideration, Yi Wanwan realized that with his explosive temper, Nameless Nier would have charged into Azura's headquarters and started fighting with them on the spot if he got into a dispute with them. Nameless Nier would resolve all conflicts and enmities immediately and wouldn't drag it out and involve the entire Nier family. Azura was too irrational this time. They can provoke anyone, but they just had to provoke the Nier family. That's right, amongst the 4 great clans, the prickliest rose is the Shun family and the second is the Nier family. Especially since the Nier family has Nameless Nier. Nameless Nier's name was placed alongside piece of shits back then. People said only the eldest young master of the Nier family could prove a match for piece of shit in the entire independent state. Why did Azura provoke someone like this? Indeed, eldest young master Nier was once called undefeated fighter in the independent state. That's the past. The current eldest young master Nier swindles people all day long and values money more than his life. I think that if the Nier family is about to be annihilated, he'd only think about how he could grab some money from the Nier residents and escape. Yuan felt her head swelling while listening to them. Did they have some misunderstanding about Nameless Nier? Did they really know Nameless Nier? Her real brother was strong indeed, but his brain was lacking, and he was predisposed to killing himself with stupidity. If they depended on him to defend the Nier family would have been destroyed long ago. Soon, Yuan walked toward the group. Classmate, were you serious about what you said? Is the information accurate? Yi Wanwan's approaching terrifying face caused that mercenary to jump in fright. He quickly recognized the newcomer to be the most sought-after celebrity at Scarlet Flames Academy lately. Yuan, it's you. Of course this info is accurate. Anyway, it's such a big commotion, so you couldn't hide it even if you wanted to. Everyone will definitely hear about it soon. Based on his tone, he should be telling the truth. However, no way could she believe that Si Yihin started fighting with the Nier family for some reason. Yuan couldn't figure out what screw was lost in Si Yihin's head. They still hadn't married, yet he was acting so insolently toward his in-laws already. She immediately called Nameless Nier. For mercenary missions, please press 1. For other missions, please press 2. To hire Nameless Nier himself, the fee is doubled. To hire the team under Nameless Nier, the pay is also doubled. If you don't have money, please hang up. Thank you for your cooperation. Yuan, freaking. What kind of weird voicemail message was this? Nameless Nier still didn't pick up his phone after half a day, and Yuan couldn't stand the awful message anymore, so she could only give up. At the same time, at the Nier residence, Members of Azura flooded the outside of the Nye residence, standing off with the Nye family guards. The man stood outside the gates, one with the darkness. His bone-chilling gaze contained irrepressible bestial instincts, as though he wanted to swallow everything into his stomach and rip and smash everything apart. The experts who normally guarded the Nye residence appeared from their hiding spots, and a dozen or so elderly men with heads of white hair walked out from somewhere. They all stood in front of the Nye residence. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.